annotations. Okay. And yeah, guys, one request I would have for all of you is like those of you who have turned up to attend the session live, please pay attention, okay? And interact freely, try to understand what is happening, right? So that you are able to maximize the output from today's class, right? And people who are not attending, I will request all of them also to watch the recordings and make sure that you are done with this session, right? Because we'll try to solve a variety of questions. So definitely this will be an important session. Okay, cool. So let's get started, guys. Let's get started. We'll start with problem solving only. No theory today, right? Only solving problems, right? Okay. So let's get started. Just give me 1 second. Yeah, and see, guys, after today's session, we can gauge how much beneficial you found this session to be. So depending on that, we can schedule more of such sessions in the future, right? So that is what I did in the previous modules also. Like we had one session and then I let the students only decide whether they found this helpful or not. And then we can, schedule more of these in the coming future. Okay, cool, guys. Yeah, I will take that. That question is on the list. Gulane. Yeah, that is on the list. Okay. So let's get started, guys. So today is a basically full problem solving session. Okay. So we won't be taking any theory. Okay. And more of problem solving today, entirely problem solving, right? So let's get started with the first question. I think this has been pending since a long time. Okay. And the first question that we will be, trying to solve is given a number. Okay. Listen to the question. It's a very basic question. Given an integer n. Okay. You are given an integer n. Are you on mute? No, I am audible to everyone, right? Okay. So guys, don't spam on the chats, right? We will take questions one by one. Don't worry, right? I will, आज जो आप questions लिख रहे हो, some of them will definitely be taken up. So don't worry. Okay. So let's start with the first question, which is given an integer n. You have been given an integer n. You want to determine whether n is prime or not. Okay. So you have an integer n as an input and I want to print whether the number n is a prime number or not. If the number n is a prime number, you will print a true. And if the number n is not a prime number, you will print a false. Okay. So let's say if the person gives you an input of 18. So what should be your output? Can anybody tell me? Let's say you get the number 18 as input. What should be your output? Is 18 a prime number? No, 18 is not a prime number. So your output will be false. But if somebody gives you a number like, let's say 13, then 13 is a prime number. And so my output should be true. Okay. So is the question clear to everyone? You will get an integer input from the user and you have to tell the user whether the number he has entered that is prime or that is a non-prime number. Okay. Can anybody come up with a logic? Can anybody think? Let's go back to our mathematics class, right? Let's go back to class 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know when we learned, but yeah, let's go back to the fundamental definition of a prime number. What is a prime number? Can I say any number that is divisible by 1 and itself? That is known as a prime number. A prime number is only divisible by 1 and itself and no other factors. Okay. Let's take an example. Consider 13. Okay. I know that 13 is a prime number. Why? See, is 1 a factor of 13? Yes, definitely 1 is a factor of 13. Is 2 a factor of 13? No. 13 is not divisible by 2. Is 3 a factor of 13? No. 13 is not divisible by 3. Is 4 a factor? No. 13 is not divisible by 4. Similarly, you will see that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All these numbers from 2 till 12, none of them are factors of 13. And 13 is only divisible by the number 1 and the number 13 itself. So this is what is a prime number. What is a prime number? A number that has just 2 factors. Okay. 1 and the number itself. It is just divisible by these 2 numbers and no other numbers apart from this. Okay. Let's take the example of 18, right? I start checking. Is 1 a factor? Definitely 1 is a factor. No issues here. Is 2 a factor? I see that boss 18 is divisible by 2. That means 2 is a factor of 18. The moment I see that this number 18 has a factor other than 1 and itself, I know that this number is not a prime. If I am telling you, hey, you know what, 18 has a factor 2, which is different than 1 and itself. So definitely, can I say that 18 is prime? Definitely 18 is not prime because I have found a factor for 18 other than 1 and 18 itself. Okay. So is everyone clear with the fundamental definition of what a prime number is? A prime number is a number that has only 1 and itself as its factor. Okay. No other number will be a factor of a prime number. Okay. So what is my logic? What should be my logic like, right? So let's say that you have gotten a number, right? Now, I know that if this number is prime, it is only divisible by 1 and itself. It has just these two factors, right? And as a matter of fact, all numbers are divisible by 1 and themselves. Do you agree? Take any number that will be divisible by 1 and itself. It is nothing special, right? Okay, so I started with the discussion of a prime number, and so far so good. What we have done is we have just talked about what is a prime number. What is the fundamental definition of a prime number? And what is a prime number? A number that is divisible by 1 and itself. It has just two factors, 1 and the number itself. A prime number has no other factors apart from 1 and the number itself. So let's talk about 13, right? 13 is a prime number. Why? Because 13 is only divisible by 1 and 13. Apart from these two numbers, there are no other factors of 13. Starting from 2 till 12, there are no other factors. So this is a prime number. Okay. So now what I am telling you, what will be our fundamental way of thinking in this question? My approach will be something like, boss, I have been given a number, right? And I know that all numbers are divisible by 1 and the number itself, right? Every number will be divisible by 1 and the number itself. So that is not a problem. What I will do is I will start iterating over other numbers. I will start iterating from 2 till n minus 1. Let us say that the number that you have got as input is n. Okay. So I will start iterating from 2 till n minus 1. So let us say we are talking of 13. The number that is given input to you is 13. So I start moving from 2. I come to 2. Is 2 a factor of 13? No, it is not a factor of 13. Acha, guys, tell me, if I see that 2 is not a factor of 13, can I immediately conclude that 13 is a prime number? I start checking with 2. Is 2 a factor of 13? I see that, boss, 2 is not a factor of 13. Can I immediately come and conclude to you that, boss, 13 is a prime number? No, I cannot immediately come and conclude, right? Dekho, boss, even if you have a number like 15, right, then 2 is not a factor of 15. But is 15 a prime number? Definitely 15 is not a prime number because it has factors like 3 and 5 also. So what I have to do is I start off with 2. Okay, I check. Is 2 a factor of 13? No, it is not, right? I cannot conclude that, boss, 13 is not a prime number. When will I be able to conclude that 13 is a prime number? After I have verified all the numbers from 2 till 12, then only I can conclude that, boss, 13 is a prime number. Voice, what happened? Hello? Is it audible? Hello? It's breaking or what? Okay, audible. So guys, please check the connections at your end. I think that there is some problem at your end. Okay. Okay. So, yeah, where were we? We will basically, boss, I start with 2. Is 2 a factor of 13? No, 2 is not a factor of 13. But at this point of time, I cannot claim that 13 is a prime number. In order for me to tell you guys that 13 is a prime number, all the numbers from 2 till 12, all these numbers from 2 till 12 should not be a factor. None of these numbers should be a factor, right? The only factors of n will be 1 and the number itself. From 2 to 12, no number should be a factor. Okay. So now I go to 3. I move to 3. Is 3 a factor of 13? No, it is not a factor of 13. I move to 4. Is 4 a factor of 13? No, 4 is not a factor of 13. I move to 5. Is 5 a factor of 13? No, 5 is not a factor of 13. I move to 6. These are just integers, right? It is not index. These are normal integers. Okay. Then I move to 6. Is 6 a factor of 13? Definitely not. I move to 7. Is 7 a factor of 13? No, not. Okay. I come to 8. Is 8 a factor of 13? Definitely not. I come to 9. Is 9 a factor of 13? Definitely not. I come to 10. Is 10 a factor of 13? No, definitely not. I come to 11. Is 11 a factor of 13? No, definitely not. I come to 12. Is 12 a factor of 13? No, definitely not. Yes, Karthik, you can optimize it much more. You can move to n by 2 also. You can move till root n also. But I don't want you guys to go into the optimization at this point of time, right? We will see it later. Okay. So once I have verified that no number from 2 till 12 is a factor of 13, then I can safely conclude कि boss, the number 13 is a prime number because देखो 1 and 13 will always be a factor, right? देखो, you take any number, right? 1 and the number itself will be factors. You don't have to check for that. But I have verified that all the numbers from 2 till 12 are not a factor of this number 13. So definitely 13 is a prime number. I will conclude that yes, 13 is a prime number. Is it making sense? See, the question is pretty simple. You have been given an input of an integer, and if the number is prime, you have to print a true, and if it is not a prime, you have to print a false. As simple as that. Okay. Yes, Varun, you can check till n by 2. That is also fine. Okay. But I won't discuss that at this point of time. Okay. Now, let's take a non-prime number, right? Let's take 15. Let's take 15. Now the input is 15. Okay. So I know that 1 and the number itself are definitely factors, right? So, you know, if the number 15 is a prime number, it should just be divisible by 1 and itself and no other number. So let us start moving from 2. Is 2 a factor of 15? Definitely not. Is 3 a factor of 15? Yes, 3 is a factor of 15. Now tell me, guys, the moment you see that the number has a factor other than 1 and the number itself, can I immediately conclude that 15 is a non-prime number? Can I immediately conclude? Yes, I can immediately conclude. The moment you get a factor other than 1 and the number itself, I can immediately conclude that boss, 3 is a factor of 15. So 15 is not a prime number. I don't even need to go and check for 4, 5, 6, 7, right? Just one factor is enough for you to understand that this number 15 is not a prime number. So I will simply break and I will say, boss, 15 is a non-prime number. So I will print false. So is the basic logic making sense? What we want to do? So given a number and what we will do, we will start checking from 2 till n minus 1. We will check all the numbers one by one for factors. If you are able to iterate over all the numbers from 2 till n minus 1 and any number is not a factor, all the numbers are not factors, then you can conclude that the number n is prime. But if you find that any number in this range is a factor of n, then you can simply break and you can tell that, boss, the number n is not a prime number because it is having a factor apart from 1 and itself. Is the logic clear? Then we'll go to code. First of all, it's important that you figure out the logic, what you want to do, and understand that, yes, why it is correct. Okay. Cool. So let's go to the coding aspect of this. Let's open up online GDB. Repeat it. Yes, Arpita, I'll repeat it. Okay. So basically, yeah, let's try to repeat it using coding only so that, you know, we are moving forward also. So first of all, I'll import everything, right? And first of all, let's make a scanner. Let's make a scanner, right? Let's make a scanner. Scanner SC is equal to new scanner system.in. Okay. And then I will take a number of an integer from the user. Next thing, I have taken the input n from the user. Now, if n is prime, I want to print a true. And if n is not a prime number, I want to print false, right? So what is a prime number? We are solving a question that if the number n is prime, print true. and if it is a non-prime number, print false. Okay. Now, what is a prime number? N will be prime if it has just two factors, 1 and n itself. Okay. If we have just these two factors and no other factors, then I say that n is a prime number. Okay. So let us start checking and see, guys, all the numbers will be divisible by 1 and itself. So you don't need to check for 1 and n itself, right? So I start iterating from 2. I start checking from 2. Is 2 a factor? Is 3 a factor? Is 4 a factor? Is 5 a factor? Is 6 a factor? Likewise, I will go till n minus 1. So let us run a loop for. Okay, let us run a loop for int I is equal to 2. I starts at 2. Okay. And I will go till n. That is till n minus 1. I less than n matlab kya hua? I will take value equal to n minus 1. Okay. So I will start from 2 and it will go all the way till n minus 1. I plus plus. Okay. So now I will check. Pehle I ka value 2 hoga. So what do I check? Is the 2 a factor? And how do I check this? I check like this. If n percentage I, see the number is n and I am checking is I a factor of n. So how do I check? I do a modulo. If n modulo I equal to 0, then can I say I is a factor of n? Can I say this? Why I starts from 2? Because see, when I ask you, is 13 a prime number? From where will you start checking? You will start checking from 2 now. Is 2 a factor? Is 3 a factor? 1 is always a factor, right? So no need of starting I from 1 because 1 is a factor of all numbers, right? Okay. Now, so if n modulo I is equal to 0, can I tell you guys that boss I is a factor of n? And now can I conclude that the number n is not a prime number? Do you agree? Do you agree that the number n is not a prime number if you are inside this? So what should I do? Can I simply break? Can I simply break? Can I break? Can I simply break? Achha, let's try to do it. I will print here, number, let's say number is not prime like this. Okay. Or even better, let's print, false, what we wanted to print, false. Okay. And then I will simply break. Achha, guys, can you tell me why I am breaking? Because if you get that I is a factor of n, you already know that the number n is a non-prime number. Okay. The number n is a non-prime number. Why did not take n minus 1 line number 15? See, मेरे को क्या check करना है? Suman, tell me. I want to check all factors from 2 till n minus 1 inclusive. Okay. If the number n is 13, I want to check is 2 a factor, is 3 a factor, is 4 a factor, is 5 a factor, till is 12 a factor. So I should go from 2 till n minus 1 inclusive. Okay. So I have written I less than n so that I takes up value till n minus 1 inclusive. Okay. Acha. Now tell me, guys, do you agree with this break here? Do you agree with this break here? Why have I used a break? Because the moment you get a factor of n, you know that it is not a prime number. So I print false and I simply break. Because there is no point in iterating more forward in the loop and checking for more factors. Even one factor is sufficient to tell you that the number is not a prime number. So I break. Achha. Now break will basically bring you outside the for loop. Okay. Now there is a catch. There is a small catch, right? Now what if the number is prime? Can anybody tell me? If the number is prime, then you will never enter into this if block. Do you all agree? If the number is a prime number, then you will never enter into the if block, right? And the loop will terminate naturally. Do you agree? You start checking from 2 and you will go till 12 and you see that none of them are a factor of 13. So the loop terminates naturally. Do you all agree? There are two ways in which the loop can terminate. One is via the break statement and the other is that the loop terminates naturally. Okay. So when I am standing on line number 24, okay, there can be two possibilities. If I have come outside via this break, then the number is a non-prime number. But If the loop has ended naturally, let's say the loop has terminated naturally, that means you didn't find any factor of n. And then at line number 24, the number is a prime number. Do you agree? Do you agree? Boss, there are two ways in which your loop can end. One is when you come outside via this break statement. And at that point, n is not a prime number. But if your loop terminates naturally, okay, if your loop terminates naturally, then the number n is not a prime. Achha, first of all, I have seen many students doing like this. Else, println, number is prime or let's say true. Is this correct? I have seen many students doing this. Is this correct? No, definitely not, right? This is just like saying, ki, boss, you checked. 2 is not a factor, so you printed true. It is not, na. You have to check for all factors from 2 till n minus 1. And then only you can conclude whether the number is prime or not. So here I come to a very important concept known as a flag variable. Okay, known as a flag. Okay. So see, the problem is when I am standing at line number 24, how do I know? How did I come out? Are you getting my point? At line number 24, I don't know whether I have come outside using the break or my loop has terminated naturally and I have come outside. Are you getting my point? See, try to understand, guys. Let me give you an example. One second. Where this? Just 1 second, guys. See. Just 1 second. It just happened. See, guys, try to understand. Okay, let's say that you have a road. Okay, you have a road here, right? And there are two possible ways of coming to the road. Okay, there are two possible paths. This is path number A and this is path number B. Okay, a person can come either from path A or path B and stand here, right? So if you see a person standing here, if you just see a person standing here on the road, how do you know if he has come from A or B? Can you know? No, you cannot know, right? But let's say I paint this road with red. I paint this road red in color. Okay, taza मैंने paint किया है. And if I see a person standing here and his shoes have red spots, then can I say that this person has come from road number A? Can I say? Let's say this road is blue in color, right? So basically, I need to have some sort of a distinction which will help me to know where the person is coming from or via where my loop has terminated. So what will we do is, see, one of the ways is if you have a value of I, okay, if you have int I made like this, right? If I is a global variable, you can check the value of I also. But I will give you a more generic way that works almost everywhere. Okay. So what we generally introduce is a flag variable. What is the meaning of a flag variable? It's just another marker. Think of it like it is just a marker variable which will help you to identify where are you coming from. Okay. So let's say I make a Boolean, let's call it as marker, and I initialize it with false. I have initialized this variable with false, right? No, the name of the variable can be anything, but historically we call it as a flag variable. Okay, because it is helping you to understand where you are coming from. Okay, now I have initialized the Boolean variable marker to false. Now guys, try to understand what I am doing. Okay, I am not printing here. Let's forget printing here, right? So the moment I see that n percentage I equal to 0, I know that I is a factor of n. And I know that, boss, because I is a factor of n, the number is not a prime number. So what I will do is I will set my marker equal to true. I will set my flag equal to true. See, this is like painting a red paint, right? Think of it like you have painted your road red. Okay. So you have changed the marker variable to true and then you break outside the for loop. Now guys tell me, if my loop terminates via the break statement, then what will be the value of marker? If the number is a non-prime number, then you will set your marker to be true and then you will break outside, right? So if my number is a non-prime number, that is if my loop is terminating via this break statement, then do you all agree that at line number 27, the value of marker will be true. Do you all agree? And if the number is a prime number, okay, if the number is a prime number, then this loop will terminate naturally. So do you agree that if this loop terminates naturally, the value of marker will remain false itself? It will not be true. Yes. So depending on the value of marker, depending on the value of this flag variable, I know whether my number is prime or not. If the marker is true, that means your loop has terminated via the break statement and my number is a non-prime number. So what I check, if marker equal to true, that means my number is a non-prime number. So I will print false. Number is a non-prime number, right? Else matlab marker is false, right? If the marker is false, that means I did not enter this if block. So I did not find any factors of the number n from 2 till n minus 1. So the number is a prime number. So I will print that boss, the number is a prime number. So I will print a true. Okay. Is this logic making sense to everyone? Why did I need to use a flag variable? Where is flag? This variable marker, ये जो marker variable है ना, this is known as a flag variable. Okay. Because this variable is helping me to understand from where I am coming out. Okay. Repeat in Hindi. फिर से बताता हूँ. देखो भाई. See guys, try to understand. What have I done is, I have first of all taken a variable. ऐसा सोचो. Think of it, this is a red flag. Okay. Think of it, it is a red flag. Think of it, it is a red flag, right? You have made marker equal to false. Now you have a number n and you start searching. You start looking for factors. Okay. So I start from 2 and I will go all the way till n minus 1 inclusive. Okay. And what will I do? I check, is the number I a factor of n? And the moment I see that yes, I is a factor of n, so I know that the number is not a prime number. So मैं क्या किया? I basically made my marker equal to true. So think of it like you will change the value of this flag and make it green. Think of it now, your flag is of green color. It has been made true and you break outside. Okay. So outside the loop, you are checking, boss, is my flag green in color? Is my marker true? Yes. If the marker is true, that means you have break out. You have broke out of the loop via these two statements, right? So your number is not a prime number and you print false. Else, if this loop terminates naturally, okay, let's take the example of 13. If the loop terminates naturally and you don't get any factor, then the marker which was a red flag, that has remained a red flag. So what you will do? You will enter the else part, ki boss, marker is still false. And I know that the meaning of marker equal to false is, you know, that you didn't find any factors. And so the number is a prime number. So I will print a true. How many of you are clear with the understanding? See, there can be multiple ways of solving the same question, right? You can even count the number of factors, right? I am just telling you a basic way of doing this question. What if you don't take break? If you don't take break, that is not a problem, right? But you will be running your loop some more number of times, which is not actually, you know, beneficial. You are using, ऐसा समझो ना कि boss, let's say your number is, let's say 999999998. Let's say this is the number, right? So you start from 2. Is 2 a factor? Yes, 2 is a factor. So you can immediately conclude that this number is not a prime number, right? So if you don't break here, you will check for 3, you will check for 4, you will check for 5, you will check for 6, you will check all the way till 9999997. That is like a pain, right? That is why we have broken. Okay. Okay. Let's try to run it and see whether it's working. So let's take a number as 13. This is a prime number. Okay. So it prints true that yes, the number 13 is a prime number. Let's take a non-prime number. N is equal to 2. Acha, what should be the output for n is equal to 2? Can you tell me? 2 is an even prime number, right? So what do you think will be printed? Look at our code and tell me, guys, what do you think will be printed? True or false for 2? Whether true will be printed or false, I think true will be printed, right? Let's see. See, true is printed, right? Because when the number n is 2, right, this loop will not even start running. You start from I equal to 2, 2 less than 2 is false. So you don't even start running the loop. So you come here and you will see that marker is false. So you will just print true. Okay. Let's take another non-prime example. Let's take a non-prime number. Let's take 51, right? So you will see it's a false because it has a factor n equal to 3. 3 is a factor of 51, right? If you take 15, 15 bhi le lete hain, no problem. False. Okay. Is it clear to everyone? What will happen for n equal to 1? For n equal to 1, it will also print as a true, right? So if you want to handle, I don't know whether n is a 1 is a prime or not. If you want to handle, you can handle that case separately. If n equal to 1, print this or whatever. Right? 2 is an even prime number by definition. Okay. Is this clear to everyone? Fine for all. The flag variable concept you all understood? Okay. Cool, guys. So I think we can move. You will get the code. So you can also try to do a try run yourself. But I think it is pretty clear, right? What we are doing is we are checking for factors starting from 2 till n minus 1. The moment you get any factor, you set your marker to be true and you break. Okay. So outside the for loop, if my marker variable is true, then I know that the number is not a prime number. Else I know that the number is a prime number. Okay. Let's move forward. अरे फ्लैग कुछ नहीं है भैया, देखो फ्लैग क्या है, फ्लैग एक वेरिएबल है जो तुमको बताएगा कि तुम कैसे लूप के बाहर आए हो. इट विल हेल्प यू टू डिटरमाइन दैट. तो अगर मार्कर का वैल्यू ट्रू है मतलब आपको एक फैक्टर मिला एंड यू ब्रेक आउटसाइड द लूप. दैट मींस इफ मार्कर इज ट्रू आउटसाइड द फॉर लूप, इसका मतलब यू हैड अ फैक्टर, अदरवाइज यू डिडंट हैव अ फैक्टर. ओके, कूल. Now, let's come to some question on arrays. Let's go to the portal. Okay. And let's go to the modules. I'll take questions. Don't worry, guys. We have today for questions only. Let's go to, there was a loops assignment. Yeah. Okay. So here I think we had a couple of questions that people were actually, asking to take, which was a peak element and another was largest number at least twice of other. I had seen these two questions coming in chat very, very frequently for the past 2 or 3 days. So let's take up, this question. Start solving. Chalo. Let's just clean up. Okay. So let's start reading this question, right? Where we can use anything on the place of, you can use any variable name other than marker also if you want. It's at the end of your logic, right? Okay. So let's start. Yes, Venkat, you can keep I less than n by 2 also. That is also fine. You can keep I less than equal to root n also. That is also fine. Okay. Acha, and somebody was asking whether what we are discussing will be helpful in the test or not. So I don't know, guys, what all questions are coming in the test, but I can definitely guarantee you whatever we discuss today, that will definitely give you a new dimension of thinking. Okay. And that will definitely help to improve your thinking skills and, the conversion to code. इसमें helpful जरूर रहेगा. I don't know immediately about tomorrow's test, but definitely it will be helpful for you in the long run. Okay. Yes, test is mandatory to give. Definitely. Okay. So let's read this question, right? So this question has been coming up since a long, and I think it's nice. It's a nice question. We can discuss it. Simple and nice, right? So an element is called a peak element if its value is not smaller than the value of its adjacent elements. Okay. Please explain the question briefly in Hindi or English, both. Okay. Okay. So see, an element is called a peak element if its value is not smaller than the value of its adjacent elements, if they exist. Okay. given an array of size n, you have been given an array of size n, find the index of the first peak element. If the peak element does not exist, then print -1. Okay. So what is the question telling? Let us take an input-output example and we'll try to understand. Okay. So the input is 3, 1, 2, 3. So you have been given an array of size 3. Okay. Let's see. You have an array of size 3 and the numbers are 1, 2, and 3. This is an array. Okay. So it is telling you a peak number, an element is called a peak element if it is not lesser than its adjacent elements. Okay. So think of it. If I draw a graph, okay, if I draw a graph of this, right? The first is number 1, then you have number 2, then you have number 3, right? If you draw a graph of your array, it is somewhat like this, right? So if you look, is the number 1 a peak element? How do you check? 1 के left में देखो, is there any number to the left of 1? No, no problem. Is there any number to the right of 1? Yes, and it is 2. So 1 is definitely not a peak element because to the right of 1, the element is greater. See, how does a peak element actually look like? पहाड़ देखो, पहाड़. An element is a peak element if it is greater than its element to the left and right, provided these two elements are existing. है ना? तो 1 is definitely not a peak element क्योंकि left में तो कुछ नहीं है, but right में you have a number that is greater than 1. So definitely 1 is not a peak element. Do you all agree? Do you all agree that this number 1 is definitely not a peak element? Let us come to number 2. Is number 2 a peak element? Look at the left. 1 है, तो 2 के left में 1 है. No problem. No problem. Look at the right. The right of 2 is containing a number greater than 2. So definitely 2 is also not a peak element. Do you all agree that 2 is also not a peak element? Definitely 2 is also not a peak element. Okay, come to the number 3. Is 3 a peak element? Look to the left. To the left of 3, you have 2. So no problem in the left. And to the right, does there any number exist? No. Definitely after 3, there is no number existing. तो क्या बोला था? अगर नंबर लेफ्ट और राइट में एग्जिस्ट करता है तो उनसे बड़ा होना चाहिए, और अगर नहीं एग्जिस्ट करे तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, राइट? सो टू द लेफ्ट अ नंबर वाज एग्जिस्टिंग एंड 3 इज ग्रेटर देन दैट. टू द राइट नो नंबर इज एग्जिस्टिंग. So think of it, if no number is existing, you can treat as minus infinity to the right. So is 3 a peak element? Is 3 a peak element? सोच के बताओ भैया. Here you have 3, to the left you have 2, and to the right you don't have anything. No number to compare. So definitely 3 is a peak element. So in this array, only one number is a peak element, which is this 3. So I will return the index of this peak element. What is the index? The index is 2. So the index of 2 will be returned. Let's look at the input output. If is 2 returned? Yes, so the sample output is 2. Okay, let's take another example. Okay, so I am giving you a graph. Can you tell me what index should be the peak? This is starting from index number 0, right? What should be your output, guys? Let's say this is my array. What should be my output index? This is index number 0, index number 1, index number 2, index number 3, index number 4, index number 5. What? Okay, great. I was expecting this, right? So people are telling 2 should be my answer. But you know what? 2 should not. See, there are multiple peaks. Do you all agree? 2 is a valid peak. Index 2 is a valid peak. Yes, because it is greater than both the elements to the left and right. Index 4 is also a valid peak. Dekho bhaiya, 4 is also greater than both the elements to its left and right. Is there any other peak? Can you identify any other peak in this array? Index 0. Look at index 0. Is there any number to the left? No. Is there any number to the right? Yes, and it is greater. So can I say 0 is also a peak? So there are 3 peaks in this array. And the question tells you, ki boss, only find and give me the index of the first peak. So my output for this will be 0. Ki boss, at index number 0, you are getting the first peak. Okay. To index 2 is also a peak, but definitely this is not the first peak. You have to give the occurrence of the first peak. What is the index where your first peak element occurs? So is the question clear to everyone? पहले तो question clear करते. Is the question clear to everyone? हाँ, to the left of 0 there is no number ना, तभी तो मैं बोल रहा हूँ. कोई कंपेयर करने के लिए नहीं है लेफ्ट पे, तो थिंक ऑफ इट लाइक यू हैव माइनस इंफिनिटी इफ यू वांट टू इमेजिन, राइट? जहां जहां पे कंपेयर कर सकते हो वही करोगे. सो फॉर दिस इंडेक्स 0, लेफ्ट में देयर इज नो नंबर, बट टू द राइट देयर इज अ नंबर व्हिच इज लेसर. So definitely this is a peak number, right? If you have only one direction to compare, you compare in that one direction only. Okay. How many of you are clear with the question? But 1 is greater than 0. How is 1? This is index number 1. This is index 1, right? Let's say, boss, ये जो मैंने diagram बनाया है ना, this is the representation of an array. Okay. Let's say at index 0, you have a number 5. At index 1, you have a number 3. At index 2, you have a number 8. At index 3, you have a number, let's say, same कर देते 3. Okay. At index 4, you have a number, let's say 6. At index 5, you have a number, let's say 2. Something like this, right? So see, this is the array, right? This is the array. So is 5 a peak element? Definitely it is, because to the left, you don't have a number to compare. And to the right, you have 3. So definitely this is a peak element. So you will return this index. Okay. Definitely 8 is also a peak element. Okay. 6 is also a peak element. But the first peak element is this 5. So what is the index of 5? 0. So your answer should be boss 0. Okay. समझ आया क्या question? Is the question clear to everyone? Okay. Now let's go and try to write the code, right? Okay. So let's try to write the code for the question. Okay. So what it is telling, see, an element is, फिर से पढ़ो question. An element को एक peak element बोलते हैं if its value is not smaller, okay, then the value of its adjacent elements. And what are the adjacent elements? The elements to the left and right. और क्या लिखा हुआ है? Adjacent elements if they exist. तो यदि exist करता है तो compare करो, नहीं करता है तो जहां पे exist कर रहा है वही compare करो. Okay. So for the 0th index, na, there is no element to the left. So you just do a comparison with the right element. Acha. Can anybody tell me, if I give you an array like this, a trivial case, this is the array. Can you tell me what is the peak element index? Index number 0, right? Index number 0. See, this array is consisting of only one element. So when you are at index 0, is there an element to the left? No. Is there an element to the right? No. So you don't have adjacent elements to compare only. So this is the peak element. समझ रहे हो? Left में भी कुछ नहीं है तो minus infinity treat करो. Right में भी कुछ नहीं है तो minus infinity treat कर लो. Okay. Okay, I think the question must be now clear. Okay. So adjacent, given an array of size n, find the index of the first peak element. And if you don't find any peak, then return -1. So if there is no peak element present in the array, then you have to return a -1. Okay. Now, let's start, right? So first of all, let's make a scanner. Okay. And let's take input int 10. Is the font visible? What is the case for -1? If you don't find any peak element, right? If there is no peak element, then you have to print -1. 18 कर दूं, 18 लोग 18 कर लेते हैं. ठीक है? Is the font clear to have visible for all people? Okay. So first of all, now there is one ambiguity in the question which I personally faced. I don't know if you feel it or not. इसमें लिखा हुआ if its value is not smaller, then what idea do you get for the first time when you read the question? What idea do you get? कि भैया, if this is an 8, if the value is not smaller, that means it might be equal. That is the first idea that I got, right? कि boss, if you have something like this now, then I can say that this element peak is, this is a peak element, right? Because it is greater than or equal to the elements on its left and right. It is not smaller, right? But seems like the question is not very well valued, because when I coded it up using, greater than equal to, then one of the test cases failed. And the moment I removed this equality sign, all the test cases passed, right? So that is one missing thing here in this question, but I think we'll understand it as we code, right? So when it says a peak, it talks about strict greater than sign, right? We will see it, okay? So first of all, I take the number n as input. Now let us make an array int ARR Okay, so India, आपने जो array दिया है consisting of all fives, right? So if you are not talking of strict equality, then index 0 is a peak. Okay, but if you are talking of a strict inequality or strict you shouldn't have equality sign, then it should be -1. Okay, there will always be a peak element. No, there might not always be a peak element. होगा क्या हमेशा? I don't know. Any example? चलो सोच लेते हैं यार, सोच लेते हैं example. चलो let's make an example, right? Let's say we start from here. Okay, now मेरे को हर एलिमेंट को पीक नहीं बनाना है ना, बस ठीक है, रुक जाओ. Do we get a -1? That's a good question, right? So let's say that to the right you cannot. हाँ, let's take this, right? Let's take this. If you are talking of equality, right? If you are not talking of equality, let's say you have an array like 4, 8, 8. Okay, is the number 4 a peak? No, it is not strictly greater. Is the number 8 a peak? No, it is not strictly greater than both its left and right. Is this number 8 a peak? No, it is not strictly greater than both its left and right. So this time you don't have any peak, grid -1. Making sense? ठीक है, इक्वल नंबर्स होंगे तब वो पीक नहीं होगा. ठीक है. Okay, I'll take one last question. 4, 6, 6, 9. फिर मैं कोड करूंगा. 4, 6, 6, 9. Can you guys only tell me what should be the peak index? According to this question, what should be the output? What should be the output? Is index 0 a peak? Definitely no. Is index 1 a peak? Definitely no. Is index 2 a peak? Definitely no. Is index 3 a peak? Yes, it is a peak. क्योंकि 9 के लेफ्ट में इससे छोटा है, right में you don't have a number. So index number 3 should be my answer. Okay. Okay. चलो. But how do I make it full screen? Okay. Cool. Now let's take the input of this from the user. Yeah, Pranshu, the question wording says, but you will see what happens when we take equality, right? एक टेस्ट केस नहीं चलता और वो इक्वालिटी हटाने से चल जाता है. So I am assuming that the wordings are a little bit wrong, right? So first of all, let's take the array input from the user. I think everyone is now comfortable with all these things. We don't have to spend much time. So I have taken input of the array from the user, right? Now what do I do? First of all, I have to initialize my answer. Okay, let's make an answer variable and initialize it, right? So int answer is equal to -1. So I've initialized my answer as -1. Okay. Now what do? Let's start iterating through the array. Let's start iterating, right? I am going forward in the same school of thought that I did it for the first time, and I will tell you how I simplified my code and what was the thinking that I brought in, right? So first of all, I started like this only. For int I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Let us iterate through the entire array. Okay. And what I will check? This is the thing. Answer is equal to -1. सिर्फ एक बार initialize किया, ठीक है. Now I iterate over the array. And what will I check? If. Now what is the condition for a peak element? If ARR of I is greater than ARR of I -1. Okay. Let's introduce equality for now. आप लोग देखोगे कि एक टेस्ट केस फेल हो जाता है, ठीक है. If ARR of I is greater than equal to ARR of I -1 and ARR of I is greater than equal to ARR of I plus 1, is it a peak element? Is this element a peak element that we are talking about? बताओ तो क्या ये कंडीशन सही है क्या पीक के लिए? If ARR of I is greater than equal to ARR of I -1 and ARR of I is greater than equal to ARR of I plus 1. I will come to the out of bounds, right? For any generic element in between, is this condition making sense? मैं ऐसे सोचा, मैं अपना process बता रहा हूँ, right? I am more interested in the thought process that I approach the question with, right? So I understood कि ठीक है, if ARR of I is greater than equal to its left element and ARR of I is greater than equal to its right element, then it is a peak element. So what I will do? Answer is equal to I. I will initialize answer equal to I and I will break. ठीक है? So this will give me the first occurrence of peak, and then outside here I can do a system.out.println answer. Are you guys still with me till now? I know this is not correct till now, but I am trying to explain to you the thought process, right? How do we try to approach it, right? Why have I done a break? Achha. So you will all agree that the conditions that I have written, that let's say that you have an array of size n, right? From index 0 till index n minus 1. So these conditions will be good enough from index number 1 till index number n minus 2. Do you agree? When I is from index number 1 till index number n minus 2, you will get an element on the left and you will get an element on the right and you can do a comparison. तो मैं क्या कर रहा हूं भाई, देखो ऐसा सोचो, let's make an array. Right, this is an array, right? So I start iterating from index 0, right? Forget about index 0 because it will give me an error at this point of time, right? This is not a peak element. Let us move forward, right? I come to I equal to 1. Now for I equal to 1, what am I doing? I check. Is ARR of I greater than equal to ARR of I minus 1? See, when I am standing at index number I minus 1 is the left index and I plus 1 is the right index. So I am comparing. Is ARR of I greater than equal to ARR of I minus 1? Yes, 8 is greater than equal to 6. And left के साथ greater होने से सिर्फ काम नहीं चलेगा. This 8 should be greater than its right element also for it to qualify as a peak. Okay, so I check. And ARR of I, 8, is greater than equal to ARR of I plus 1? Yes. So I will update my answer ki boss, this is a peak element. I will update answer equal to I and I will break. Why have I break? Because I want the occurrence of the first peak. So I break and I print answer outside the loop. But now all of you will have a question. Hey Adarsh, the condition that you have written, that will give me a index out of bound for I equal to 0 and for I equal to n minus 1. Do you agree? For these two indices, I have a problem. For I equal to 0. Why for I equal to 0? Because for I equal to 0, I minus 1 is not a valid index. And for I equal to n minus 1, I plus 1 is not a valid index. Do you agree? Do you agree? I'll go to the PPT. It's more easier to explain. I can't draw here for some reason. Let's come here, right? Let's come here. मैं बताऊंगा मैं क्या चेंज करता हूँ, थोड़ा सा चेंज होगा. ओके, सो व्हाट वाज आवर interesting part of the loop? Okay, one condition and Achha guys, do you agree that if there are elements on the left and right, this condition is good enough to check? Do you all agree? Do you all agree? If there are elements on the left and right, is this condition good enough to check? Yes? Okay, cool. So एक चीज तो आपको समझ में आया. But a problem क्या है? If I equal to 0 is a peak element, it doesn't consider for that. If your last index is a peak element, then you won't get your answer, right? That is a problem, right? So now what I want to do, now try to understand very, very carefully what have I done. मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, boss? When the value of I is equal to 0, let us take a very, very simple example, right? I don't know, I have to take anything. When the value of I is equal to 0, do you have a left element to compare? Do you have a left element to compare? Definitely not, right? So can I write my condition like this? Can I write my condition like this? That if the value of I is 0, I don't even do this part of the checking. I just do this checking. Can anybody think how I can do it? And we will apply a very clever way of doing this job. See, I write a condition like this. See, I'll modify my condition. I write here कि बॉस देखो मैं यहाँ पे क्या चेक कर रहा हूँ, ध्यान से सुनो मेरा थॉट प्रोसेस, राइट? If ARR of I is greater than ARR of I minus 1, that means when I am on index I am checking for the element on index I minus 1. And this check will only be valid when I minus 1 is a valid index. Do you agree? ये check कब valid होगा? When I minus 1 is a valid index. Okay. So before even checking this part, I have to ensure कि अगर I minus 1 is not a valid index, don't even come to this checking. Do you all agree? See guys, when the value of I is 0, what is the value of I minus 1? It is minus 1. And is this a valid index? No. So I don't even come to checking ARR of I minus 1 because I minus 1 is not even a valid index. So I write something like this. ध्यान से देखो मैं क्या लिख रहा हूं. I write something like this. If I minus 1 is less than 0, okay? Listen to it very carefully. If I minus 1 is less than 0, then is this a valid index? तो पहले मैं चेक कर रहा हूं कि क्या I minus 1 less than 0 है. And if I minus 1 is less than 0, na, I club it with an or, logical or, right? Try to understand my thought process. Or ARR of I is greater than ARR of I minus 1. Now try to look at this bracket condition. I'll just change my pen color. Try to look at this entire condition. Now you will understand the beauty of this. What happens, guys? First of all, your value of I will be 0. Okay. You come and check this first condition. I minus 1 less than 0. So this condition evaluates to be true. And the moment this condition evaluates to be true, what will you do? You will short circuit. You will not even check your this condition. सोच के देखो guys. If the value of I is 0, you won't even come to this checking part. Will you come? Think carefully. If the value of I is 0, will you come to check ARR of I is greater than ARR of I minus 1? No, you will not come to check this condition because you evaluate the first condition, I minus 1 less than 0. This will evaluate to be true. So this first part will evaluate to be true. So because you have grouped the conditions with a logical or, this part will not even be checked. Okay, you got a short circuit. Okay, so you put this thing. ठीक है, तो जैसे ही मेरे को पता चल गया, and boss try to understand what is this entire big expression telling you, comparing the number on the left. तो ये पहले चेक कर रहा है. See guys, try to understand. मैं हिंदी में भी बोलूंगा, मैं इंग्लिश में भी बोलूंगा. First of all, I am checking, is the left index valid or not? Is I minus 1 less than 0? If I minus 1 is less than 0, that means the left index is not valid. This will return a true and you won't even go to check the left element. And this entire expression will return a true. And what is the meaning of this true? Ki boss, if there was an element on the left hand side, the comparison on the left hand side has been successful. Okay. But if the value of I would have been 1, 2 or 3, right? So first of all, it will check I minus 1 less than 0. That will evaluate to false because there I minus 1 is a valid index. So now you will come and check the element on the left hand side. Okay. So if the element on the left hand side is smaller, you will get a true. Otherwise, you will get a false. Is this part making sense? क्या हो रहा है? भाई देखो, ये जो बड़ा पूरा expression है ना, try to understand. Try to understand, guys. This entire big expression output will tell me the situation for the left hand side. Okay. This entire big situation, okay, this entire big thing, this entire two statements clubbed together will tell me the situation on the left hand side. Yes, I will explain with example. So first of all, you check. देखो भाई, for index I equal to 0. Okay. I first of all check, is I minus 1 less than 0? Yes, definitely. If I is equal to 0, I minus 1 will be less than 0. Okay. So this first condition evaluates to be true. And you don't even go for this checking and you get the output of this entire expression as true. कि boss left hand side का checking हो गया, कुछ है ही नहीं. Okay. Now what I will do? So this gives me a true for the left hand side. Along with this, I also need to have a condition. Along with this left hand side checking, I also need to have a condition for the right hand side. Can anybody help me with the condition for the right hand side? तो मैं क्या check कर रहा हूँ? If I minus 1 is less than 0 or ARR of I is greater than ARR of I minus 1. Okay. This entire expression, let me change colors. This entire expression will help me to decide the things on the left hand side. I am checking for the number on the left hand side. Okay. So भैया ध्यान से देखो. If the left hand side index is not valid, then it will return a true. Or if the left hand side index is valid, then it will return a true if the number is greater. Okay. So this will give me the answer for the left hand side. Along with this, I also need to check the right hand side. So along with this condition, I will also group the right hand side condition. What will be that? It will be, I was checking now, ARR of I is greater than ARR of I plus 1. But before even I can check ARR of I is greater than ARR of I plus 1 or not, I need to ensure that I plus 1 is a valid index. What should I write, guys? What should I write? Correct. I write something like this. Ki boss, I plus 1 greater than equal to n. If I plus 1 is greater than equal to n, na, that means I plus 1 is not a valid index. So just group it with a logical or. If this condition is true, I won't even go to check the number on the right because no number is existing. Or ARR of I is greater than ARR of I plus 1. So now guys, try to understand, right? This is our conditions. And here you will have that same thing. Answer is equal to I and you will break. Okay. Now try to understand. Let's go to the blue pen. This is the for the right hand side. So ab dekho guys, what was our problem for the first time? The code that we had written for the first time, that was giving us a problem for I equal to 0 and I equal to n minus 1. Right. Now try to understand what will happen. Let us take an example and try to understand, right? So I will have a for loop for int I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. अब मैं बताता हूँ क्या होगा, देखो ध्यान से. So let's say you have a number 8 here, you have a number 6 here, you have a number 5 here, you have a number 2 here. Okay. Now what should be our answer? Our answer should be index 0, right? Because this is a peak element. So what do? I start checking, right? First of all, the value of I will be 0. So I am standing at index number 0, I equal to 0. Now what do I check? I start evaluating this first condition. Okay. I start evaluating this first condition, which will tell me whether I am good to go from the left hand side. So what will I check? I check first of all, I minus 1 less than 0. The value of I is 0. So what will be the value of I minus 1? Minus 1. Is minus 1 less than 0? Yes, minus 1 is less than 0. That means the index to the left hand side is lesser than 0. Dekh lo. I minus 1 kya hai? Left hand side index, that is less than 0. So this evaluates to be true. The moment this expression evaluates to be true, because you have a logical or, you won't even evaluate this next expression. And see, that is what was the problem in the first time. In the first time, the conditions that we had written, we were checking ARR of I with ARR of I minus 1. And because I is equal to 0 hai, I minus 1 is not a valid index. But in this case, what has happened? First of all, I check ki boss, I minus 1 is less than 0. So this will evaluate to be true. So I will do a logical short circuiting and this condition will not even be checked. And the answer to this entire big expression, what you will get, true or anything, will be true itself. So you will get a true for the first part. That is, from the left hand side, there is no problem. There is no problem. See, is there a problem from the left hand side? No, the left hand side has returned a true to me. मैंने check किया, भैया क्या left hand side index valid है? नहीं है. So it just returned a true to me. The boss, on the left hand side, the index itself is not valid. Okay. Now, after getting a true from the left hand side, you also need to get a true from the right hand side. So now you start checking for the right hand side. So first of all, you check what is the right hand side index? I plus 1. And what is the value of I? 0. So 0 plus 1 will be 1. This is the index of the right hand side. Is this greater than equal to n? What is n? N is 4. Is this index greater than equal to 4? No. So that means the right hand side index is valid. So this will evaluate to be false. कि भैया right hand side का index valid है, तो आप number जाके check करो. You cannot say a true like this. Okay. So now I will come to this part. Okay, false or something. So I'll have to evaluate this part, and I check whether the number on the right is, good enough or not. So I check ARR of I is greater than ARR of I plus 1. Yes, it is. So now this will give me a true, and false or true will be true. So the right hand side expression also gives you a true. So the left hand side also gives a true, right hand side also gives a true. So true and true will be true. So I enter inside the if block. I update my answer. Ki boss, answer is equal to I, which is 0. Okay. And I break. So outside the for loop, I know that the answer is at index number 0. देखो ना, मैं हिंदी में बताता हूँ हम लोग कर क्या रहे हैं. देखो बॉस, तुमको चेक करना था लेफ्ट हैंड साइड का एलिमेंट, राइट? बट बिफोर इवन कमिंग टू दिस चेक, पहले वेरीफाई तो करो लेफ्ट का इंडेक्स सही भी है या नहीं है. तो अगर i minus 1 लेस देन 0 है ना, दैट मीन्स द इंडेक्स ऑन द लेफ्ट हैंड साइड इज नॉट इवन वैलिड. तो ये ऑलरेडी ऐसे ही ट्रू रिटर्न कर दो, ऐसे ही ट्रू रिटर्न कर दो कि बॉस द लेफ्ट हैंड इंडेक्स इज नॉट वैलिड, so this will return a true. True or anything will be true. So this entire expression gives you a true. कि भैया लेफ्ट में कुछ है ही नहीं, तो ट्रू दे दो ना सीधा सीधा, लेफ्ट वाला कुछ प्रॉब्लम दे ही नहीं रहा मेरे को. How many of you are understanding what we are trying to do? Now, what about last element? Good question, right? Now, give me any input. Give me any input. Give me any input. Okay. See, I plus 1 greater than equal to n kya kar raha hu? I plus 1 is the index on the right hand side, right? And when you look at the right hand side index, the valid index is still n minus 1. Okay. So I am checking if I plus 1 is greater than or equal to n now, then it is not a valid index. Okay. So it will just return true if it is not a valid index. Okay. Give me any input. 51769. No, that's the 0th index only. I want to have a different thing. 1257 karte hain, theek hai? Okay. So let's start. I starts from 0, right? So first of all, I is at index number 0. So first of all, I check, is I minus 1 less than 0? Yes, definitely I minus 1 is less than 0, right? So this will give you a true, or this will happen, a short circuit will happen. So this expression will give you a true. So when the value of I is 0, you don't have to do a checking on the left hand side, right? The left hand side gives you a true. Okay. Then I check for the right hand side. I plus 1. What is I plus 1? 1. Is 1 greater than equal to 4? No, not. So definitely the right hand side index is valid. So what I will do? See, I plus 1 greater than equal to n, this will return a false. Now you come to the next part checking. Okay. Is ARR of I greater than ARR of I plus 1? देखो तो नहीं है. So this is not a peak index. This returns a false. The right hand side say you get a false, and true and false will be false, right? See guys, for any element to be a peak element, it should get a true from the left hand side also, and it should get a true from the right hand side also. If both it gets true, then it is a peak element, right? So definitely index 0 is not a peak element. Now I come to index number 1. Okay. First of all, I check, is the left hand side index I minus 1 less than 0? Is I minus 1 less than 0? Tell me guys. For I equal to 1, is I minus 1 less than 0? No, definitely not, right? 0 less than 0, that is false. Okay. So this first part will evaluate to be a false. So I come to the second part, that is grouped by logical OR, and I check कि भैया ठीक है, पहला तो false आ गया, मतलब the index on the left is valid. So now please check for the number. ARR of I greater than ARR of I minus 1. Is it? Yes, it is. So this will evaluate to be true, and false or true will give me a true. So from the left hand side, you get a true. Now let us look on the right hand side. First of all, I check, is the right hand side index valid? I plus 1. What will be the value of I plus 1? 2. And 2 is not greater than equal to 4. Okay. So this part will evaluate to false. So I now check the number on the right hand side. Is ARR of I greater than ARR of I plus 1? Definitely no. So this, the right hand side returns a false, and definitely this is also not a peak element. Now I come to index number 2. Okay. Now, is my left hand side index valid? I minus 1, is it less than 0? Definitely not. That means the left hand side index is valid. So now I will check for the number. Is ARR of I greater than ARR of I minus 1? Definitely. So from the left hand side, you get a true. Okay. Now I check for the right hand side. First of all, I will check, is the right hand side index valid? I check. I plus 1 is 3. Is 3 greater than equal to 4? No. That means you can check for the number on the right hand side. So I check, is ARR of I greater than ARR of I plus 1? No. So the right hand side gives you a false, and true and false will be false. So this is also not a peak element. Now I come to 7. Now I come to 7. I equal to 3. First of all, I check the left index. Is the left index valid? I minus 1 less than 0 hai kya? Nahi hai. So you can do a comparison on the left hand side. So is ARR of I greater than ARR of I minus 1? Yes, it is. So you get a true from the left hand side. Now I want to check on the right hand side. Now try to understand the interesting part. The value of I is 3. So first of all, I check the index of the right hand side. I plus 1 is equal to 4. Is 4 greater than equal to 4? Yes. So this only will return a true to me. This part only will give a true. And true or anything will be true. So this will be a short circuit. And so from the right hand side, you will get a true without even comparing the number, because the right hand side index is greater than equal to n. That means the right hand side index is not valid. So you will get a true from the right hand side. You don't have to do any comparison. And left hand side also gave a 2, right hand side also gave a 2. So true and true will be true. So you return this index of the peak element, which is 3. Okay. How many of you have understood what have we done? Why we compare with n? Why we compare with n? We compare with n because, see, I plus 1 should be a valid index, right? And if the value of I plus 1 is greater than or equal to n, right, then this is not a valid index, right? The valid index will be from index 0 till n minus 1. Okay. Let me code up this question. I will take another example if needed, right? This is like a very beautiful, grouping together of multiple conditions. Okay. See, again, I don't say that there are not other ways of doing this question. You can try to do it in other ways, but I thought of this way and I thought it right, that it's a good way of sharing with you all also. That how do you think it, right? Okay. So, देखो भैया, पहले ये compare करने से पहले I have to check if I minus 1 is not a valid index, don't even come to this checking. See guys, try to understand. With this logical and I have grouped the condition for the left and right side. Left side and right side. Okay. So first of all, before even checking the left hand side condition, I check if the left hand side index is not valid, don't even come to this checking, right? Just go to the right hand side checking. So I write, if I minus 1 is less than 0, that means the left hand side index is not valid. So I will not even come to this left hand side checking part. Okay. And before comparing the right hand side number, first of all, I check, is the right hand side index even valid? So I check, I plus 1 is the right index. If it is greater than or equal to n, that means the index of the right hand side is not valid. So don't even come to this checking part. Simply give a true from the right hand side. Okay, that's it. Answer equal to I, break kar do. Now let's try to run it. Now you will see one thing, right? What I was talking about earlier. Go to console. Try to run it. It's given index 2, that's fine. Let's try to submit it. Now you will see, from this I realized the equality sign. पहले बार मैंने भी equality डाला था, ठीक है? And I saw that one test case didn't pass, right? 7 test cases passed, but one test case failed. So what I did was I just came here. I suspected that they might not be talking of equality. I just removed this strict equality checking. And now when you submit, you will see that all the test cases get passed. Okay. No, it's not a chance that I plus 1 is greater than n. Good question. I plus 1 greater than n कभी भी नहीं होगा, ठीक है? I plus 1 at max n पे जाएगा. It won't be greater than n. Okay. So all test cases are passed here. Okay. Is everyone clear with this idea? 19 का condition नहीं समझ में आया. Okay. Give me an input, Ari. I'll do the full screen if you want to take. How do I hide this console? Wait, guys. Equality removed kiya because I thought that they are checking for strict greater than sign for peak, right? Okay. Great. Okay. So you can take a screenshot and just give me a small array. I'll try to do a drive. See, the basic idea, why do I initialize answer as -1? Because, can you tell me, I don't know when why 26.3. Let's not care about these numerical scores, right? As long as you are understanding the logic, मेरे को अगर 0 भी दे दे तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है वैसे, ठीक है? Just understand the logic. Why have I initialized the answer with -1? Can you guys only tell me? Because the question was telling कि if there is no peak element, your printing should be -1. You should return -1. So if there is no peak element, then you will not enter inside this if block. And the value of answer will remain at -1 itself. Do you agree? If you don't find any peak element, answer will remain at -1 itself and you will print -1. That's it. Okay. अभी एक input दे दो मेरे को. No, see, that is what happens, right? When you write the code for the question, definitely it will be longer, right? And you might not be able to think of this in the first place. All of this comes with practice and experience and understanding. So don't worry if you don't get such compact expressions, right? You will definitely understand it better as time progresses. पहले 19 का कंडीशन बताओ. देखो 19 का कंडीशन कुछ नहीं है. See, this is checking for the left hand side. ठीक है? And this is telling me for the right hand side. ऐसे बताता हूँ, ब्रेक करता हूँ. ठीक है? This is for the left hand side and this is for the right hand side. तो मैं चेक कर रहा हूँ. See, and this is grouping by the and. So this is checking for the left hand side. Is the number on the left, is my element greater than the number on the left? And this is checking is my number greater than the number on the right. पहले ऐसे break करते हैं, ठीक है? This is the condition for the left hand side. This is the condition for the right hand side. अब भैया ध्यान से मेरा बात सुनो. When you are at a particular index, आप लेफ्ट हैंड साइड के साथ कब कंपैरिजन कर सकते हो? व्हेन कैन यू कंपेयर दिस एलिमेंट? सी, यू आर स्टैंडिंग ऑन इंडेक्स आई, राइट? एंड you want to compare ARR of I with ARR of I minus 1. When can you do this comparison? When I minus 1 is a valid index, right? I minus 1 should be greater than equal to 0. मानते हो? लेफ्ट हैंड साइड कंपैरिजन करोगे तो मैं क्या पहले चेक करता हूं कि if I minus 1 is less than 0 ना, then the left hand side index valid ही नहीं है. ध्यान से मेरा बात सुनो. If I minus 1 is less than 0, then the index on the left hand side is not even valid. Okay. So if I minus 1 evaluates to be 0, less than 0, you get a true for this part. And when you get a true for this part, you don't even check this part because you have grouped this by a logical OR. तो देखो ना, अगर I minus 1 0 से कम हुआ ना, that means I minus 1 is not a valid index. So you won't even check this part and you will simply return a true for this entire expression. समझ आ रहा है? भाई देखो, this left hand side checking ना has two parts. The first part is the left hand side index even valid? अगर वो valid ही नहीं है तो तुम ऐसे ही true return कर दो without even checking. And if the index is valid, then you come to check for the element. कि क्या element जो left hand side पे है, is it lesser than the current element? Are you getting it? There are two parts for the left hand side checking. First, is the index valid? If the index is not valid, you simply return a true. You don't even check for the number. But if the index is valid index, then you come to check for this number. Is the number on the left hand side lesser? So left hand side का checking होगा and you will get a true or false. Then you will go for the right hand side checking. Similarly, before checking for the number on the right hand side, मैं पहले check करता हूँ क्या index valid है भी या नहीं है right वाला. Okay. So if I plus 1 is greater than or equal to n, right? That means it is not a valid index. So अगर I plus 1 greater than equal to n हुआ, so this first part only will be true. You won't even do the comparison of the number and you will return a true. Okay. But अगर I plus 1 less than n होगा, that means the I plus 1 index is also valid. So you will go and check for the number on the right hand side. Is this making sense, guys? एक बार dry run करना, you will understand. Right? Why did you take I plus 1 greater than equal to n? Okay. So you can even do like this. I plus 1 ऐसा ले लो, equal to n ले लो, ठीक है? चलो ये ले लो. This will also work. At least that is what I feel. Yep. This should also work fine. Because I plus 1 will never be greater than n, right? Let us try to submit it and see. क्या हो गया इसको? What happened? See, all test cases passed, right? So it's your logic, right? At the end of the day, you can write code in different manner also. But yeah, I hope you understand, right? So yes, we have spent good enough time. I plus 1 greater than equal to n will be true only one time. I plus 1 greater than equal to be true when I is equal to n minus 1. When I is standing on the last index. See, this condition, भैया ऐसे सोचो, ये condition true होगा when I is at the last index. And जब I last index पे, you don't do this comparison, right? That is what we are doing. And this condition, I minus 1 less than 0, this will be true for I equal to 0. Okay. So I equal to the 0 होगा, you don't do this comparison, right? Okay. Cool, guys. So can we move ahead? So I hope it's clear to everyone. Okay. Think on it, guys. Think on it. It's a good question, right? Okay. Now let's go to the next question. Largest integer you won't understand now. उसके लिए आपको comparator और sorting बताना पड़ेगा. So that we will skip for the time being, right? Okay. So the next question that we want to do is this one. Largest number at least twice of others. Okay. I have been getting these requests a lot. And then we'll move to 2D, right? We'll move to 2D. Let's remove all this. Okay. Let's read this question. I think you will be in a much better position to solve this question. I had read this question. It's pretty easy. Let's try to read this question, right? Then we'll go to 2D arrays, right? दो थोड़ा array का कर लिया, अब जाएंगे 2D पे. ठीक है. Let's read this question. You are given an integer array num s where the largest integer is unique. Okay. So the largest number is unique. Okay. Determine whether the largest element in the array is at least twice as much every other number in the array. Matlab, whatever is the largest number na, that should be at least twice of all the other numbers. Okay. So that should be greater than equal to 2 times the other numbers. Okay. So if your largest number satisfies this condition, you print the index of the largest element. Otherwise, you print a -1. Is the question clear to everyone? See, the input array is 3610. What is the largest number? 6 is the largest number. देखो तो, is 6 greater than equal to 2 times 3? Yes, it is. Is 6 greater than equal to 2 times 1? Yes, it is. Is 6 greater than equal to 2 times 0? Yes, it is. So 6 is at least twice of all the other numbers in the array. So you will return the index of 6, which is index number 1. ठीक है भाई, क्वेश्चन क्या बोल रहा है? आपको एक array of integers मिला है, ठीक है. अब उस array का एक largest number होने वाला है, ठीक है. अब मेरे को बताना है कि वो largest number जो होगा ना, जो maximum number array का, वो बाकी सब numbers से double at least होना चाहिए. At least double होना चाहिए बाकी सब numbers से. अगर ऐसा हो रहा है तो you return the index of that number. और ऐसा अगर नहीं हो रहा है तो print a -1. As simple as this. No, index of 6 is 1, right? This 4 is the size of the array, and then you have the 4 numbers 3610. Okay. Okay, so Shrikant भी सही बोल रहे हो कि find max 2 and max and then check max greater than equal to max 2 into 2. That is also fine, right? I will do it in a different way though. Okay. So is the question clear to everyone? Is everyone clear with the question? Okay. So I'll quickly do this question. It's a very basic question, right? And you will definitely be able to understand it very quickly, right? So let's make a scanner first. Scanner SC is equal to new scanner. First, these are all mechanical things, right? अब तक तो याद हो जाएगा तुम लोग को भी. Then take input of n. Make an array. All these are the same boring things that we have to do. Take input of the array. Okay, take an input of the array. Now what do I want to do? See guys, first of all, do you agree that one element which is of interest to us is the largest element? I need to find the maximum number. भैया आपको maximum number तो पता करना पड़ेगा ना. उसके बाद ही you will check ना कि if that maximum number is greater than or equal to, you know, twice of all the numbers. Do you agree? You need to know the maximum number in the array. तभी तो तुम check करोगे कि yes, is this maximum number at least the twice of all other numbers? So definitely I want to get access to the maximum number in the array. Acha, I'll give you a short, you know, hint. What you can do is you can be clever. Okay. Let's say I first of all make my maximum number. Okay. Integer. मैं बता रहा हूँ मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. Integer dot. Okay. I have initialized my max with this, and let's have an index which will store the index of the maximum element. Okay. And when I am taking input from the user now, देखो भाई मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. I have first of all initialized max with -infinity and index with -1. Now when I am taking input of the array from the user, at that time only I will keep on updating my max. एक ही बार में दोनों काम कर लेते हैं, ठीक है. So I take the input from the user, store it in ARR of I, and then I check if ARR of I, the current number that the user has entered, that is greater than max, then what will I do? Let us update max. Okay, and also update the index. Index is equal to I. Is everyone clear with this part? This part is doing two things, right? This part is basic. See, what is this doing? You are basically finding out the maximum element at the same time when you are taking input from the user. So what have you done? You start taking inputs from the user one by one, right? If you want to do, you can initialize it with anything, right? This is your wish. If you want to initialize it with 99, right? We don't care, okay? Because वो overwrite हो जाएगा. See, try to understand. Let me make it a little bit more clear. See, basically what I'm doing is I want to take an array input from the user. Okay. तो मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ, मैं पहले एक वेरिएबल बनाया. I made a variable max and I assigned it a value minus infinity or integer dot minimum value. See guys, why have I put it as integer dot minimum value? Because the first time you do a comparison, see guys, any number that the user inputs, right, that is expected to be greater than minus infinity. तो जो भी नंबर यूजर डालेगा, मान लो यूजर -50 डाला, ठीक है, तो यू कंपेयर, इज -50 ग्रेटर देन इंटीजर डॉट मिन वैल्यू? यस, एंड सो यू विल अपडेट योर मैक्सिमम टू बी -50. अरे भाई ऐसा सोचो कि मैक्स शुड बी स्टोरिंग द मैक्सिमम नंबर प्रेजेंट इन द एरे. ओके, और मैं क्या बोल रहा हूं, तुम मैक्स को इनिशियलाइज कर दो एकदम सबसे छोटा वैल्यू से. Just initialize max with the lowest value that is possible. So what will happen? Any number that is present in the array now, this will be greater than this, and so my max will get updated with this value. Are you getting the point what I'm saying? अगर मैं max को 0 से initialize करता ना, what would have been the problem? If there are all negative numbers in the array, try to understand guys. If I initialize max with 0 and the numbers in the array are -1, -2, -3, then do you think that max will ever get updated? Never. Okay, max will remain 0, which gives me a wrong picture. That is why I initialize max with minus infinity, or the minimum value that an integer variable can hold. So the moment you get a first number, you compare. -1 is greater than minus infinity, so you update your max and make it as -1. Then you check -2 greater than -1. No, don't do anything. -3 greater than -1. No, don't do anything. Okay. हाँ, वो भी कर सकते हो. See, you can also do it with ARR of 0, but I am just telling you that if you want to do it in one go, okay. So when you are taking input ना, तभी मैं maximum find कर रहा हूँ. So what am I doing? I take an input and then I compare. कि boss, is this element greater than max? If it is greater, update the maximum value and update the index of the maximum number. नहीं समझ में आया? Okay. Let me try to repeat it once again. See what have I done? See, इसमें मैंने क्या किया है? I have basically initialized max as minus infinity and index as -1. Okay. Now you can put here any value that you want, right? Now let's start. For int I equal to 0, I less than and I plus plus. ठीक है? मान लो the user has to give these inputs 8, then 5, then 13. मान लो user will be giving these 3 inputs, right? Now let's start, right? Let's start. First of all, what will happen? I take the first number input from the user. So 8 will be taken input from the user and it will be stored in ARR of 0. Do you agree? भाई बताओ क्या होगा? ये पहला बार जब लाइन रन होगा, you will take 8 input from the user and you will store it in the array. And then what do you check? You immediately do a comparison. What is ARR of 0? 8. Okay, 8 is store किया है. मैं check कर रहा हूँ. Is 8 greater than minus infinity? Yes. So I will update my max. The boss, the maximum number till now is 8. And what is this index? I का value क्या है? 0. So I will update my index is equal to 0. कि अभी तक the maximum number is 8 and the index is 0. Now what happened? The loop runs for the second time. That is I equal to 1. What will happen? You take another input. 5 will be taken as input and you will store it in ARR of 1. Okay? Store कर दिया 5 को ARR of 1 में. And then you will compare. Is ARR of 1 greater than max? Is 5 greater than 8? No. 5 is not greater than 8. So you will not do anything. You will not update anything, right? You will not update anything. Then what happens? The value of I increases. I equal to 2. I will take an input from the user, 13, and I will store it in ARR of 2. So 13 will be stored here. And immediately after storing, I check if ARR of I is 13 greater than max, which is 8. Yes, it is greater. So I will update my max. My max will become 13 and the index will be written as 2. So outside this for loop, I have done 2 tasks. I have also taken the input of the array from the user. And at the same time, I have also determined what is the maximum number in the array and what is the index at which that maximum number is occurring. Is this making sense? सोच के बताओ. कर लो यार, कोई problem नहीं है. Do it, initialize it, no problem, right? Because whenever you find the maximum, at the end of the day, index will get updated, right? and you will enter this if block at least once, right? Definitely, because you have initializing max with minus infinity. ठीक है, but अगर लोगों को इसमें confusion हो रहा है, okay, if people are getting confused, okay, so let's even try to make it more simple, right? मत करो ऐसे, नहीं समझ आ रहा है मत करो, हटा दो, ठीक है? Just take input of integer, okay? Then let's have something like this. Int max is equal to, मैं दिखा रहा हूँ, see there can be multiple ways, right? I am just showing you multiple ways of doing the same thing. Whatever you guys are comfortable with, you can try that. Okay, I've taken input of the array. Now I want to find the maximum number. So int max is equal to ARR of 0 ले लो, तुम लोग को ऐसे समझ में आता है तो, okay? Then let index, what is the index? Let us take index also as 0. The maximum element is at index number 0. But I also have to check other elements. So for int I equal to 1, I less than n, I plus plus. Okay. So no, we know the number of elements, right? Array, see, I'm just telling, see, all these optimizations come with time, right? So you understand that you don't even need two different loops for finding the maximum. जब input ले रहे हो तभी maximum निकाल लो, ठीक है? But yeah, even if you don't understand that, that is fine, right? So I'll start I from 1 and I'll say, what is if ARR of I is greater than max? What I will do? Max is equal to ARR of I, and I will update my index. Index is equal to I. हो गया? Have I done the same job once again? Take an input of the array and then I have the maximum and the, if array contain negative number, nothing will happen, right? Because you have taken your maximum as ARR of 0, right? So even if all numbers are negative, we don't care, right? You will get the correct maximum only. Okay. So is everyone clear till here? Pretty basic things, right? Just taking inputs, finding the maximum number and the index where that maximum number is present. Now I have to check that this maximum number should be at least twice of all the other numbers. ठीक है? तो अब मैं क्या करूंगा? चलो करते हैं. ठीक है? Now for int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. I am iterating over the array, right? So first of all, guys, tell me, I will do something like this. If the current index that I am standing on, okay, is not equal to I and D, what is the meaning of this statement? Can anybody tell me? Can anybody tell me what is the meaning of this? If I not equal to I and D, that means I am standing on the index which is different than the maximum number. That means I am not standing on the maximum number. If I is not equal to I and D, and matlab dekho guys, when I is not equal to I and D, that means I am standing at the non-maximum number. I am not taking into account the maximum number. ठीक है? तो मैं क्या चेक करूंगा? And ARR of I, the current number that I am standing on, okay? If मेरे को क्या पता करना है? Max should be at least greater than equal to 2 times of the number. Okay? तो मैं ऐसा कुछ बोलता हूँ, boss, and max, the maximum number in the array is less than 2 times ARR of I. Is this condition violated? Tell me. If I is not equal to I and D, that means you are not standing on the maximum element. And you see that maximum element, जो भी max था ना array का, that is lesser than 2 times of ARR of I. The current element that you are standing on, the maximum number is less than twice of ARR, right? Then can I say that, boss, your maximum number is definitely not greater than twice of all other numbers. So what do you need to print? You need to print -1. क्योंकि मेरे को एक ऐसा element मिल गया है, that is, yeah. Can you please explain the condition? Sure. See, what is the question telling me? The question is telling me, मैं इधर आता हूँ. Come to the PPT, right? See, what is the question telling me? You have been given an array, right? Okay. You have been given an array. First of all, you understand what is the maximum element. Okay. What is the maximum element? The maximum element is 8. Okay. Now, I know that 8 is present on index number 1. ठीक है. मैं थोड़ा सा ना छोटा example देता हूँ, ज़्यादा अच्छे समझ में आएगा. Okay. Now, so I know that the maximum number is 8 and the index at which this 8 is present is at index number 1. Now what? I start iterating from the array. The first index is I equal to 0. Okay, I check. Is the current index equal to 1? No, it is not equal to 1. That means I am not on the maximum element. So I will check. देखो भैया मेरे को क्या चाहिए था? I wanted that the maximum number should be greater than equal to 2 times of ARR of I. Do you agree? For all ARR of I apart from maximum. Do you all agree? Maximum number in the array should be at least twice of all the number. देखो ना, ये जो 8 है 1 से डबल है. Okay, 8 is also double than 3, more than 2 times. 8 is greater than equal to 2 times of 4. 8 is greater than equal to 2 times of 2. So this is fine, right? So max should be greater than equal to 2 times of ARR of I. Do you agree? For all ARR of I other than maximum. ये condition hold होना चाहिए. ठीक है. Now what I am telling, I am at I equal to 0 and this is not equal to this index 1. So I am not standing at the maximum element. और मैं check करता हूँ. Okay. What is the current element? Okay. So if the current element, okay, देखो guys, if this condition is holding to max is less than 2 times ARR of I, that means the condition is violated. The condition is violated. तो मैं क्या check कर रहा हूँ? I check if, okay, I am not standing at the maximum element and I check if my maximum element is less than 2 times of ARR of I, that means the condition is violated. So what I will do? I will simply break and I will print a -1. But अभी मैं देख रहा हूँ max is 8, which is not less than 2 times of 1. So no problem. I will move I further. Now I equal to 1. Okay. I check. Is this I not equal to index? No. 1 not equal to 1 is false. So you don't even enter inside the if block. You don't do any comparison. I move to I equal to 2. Is this matching with index? No. That means you are standing on the non-maximum number. So then you check. And max is 8. Is 8 lesser than 2 times of 3? No, definitely not. Okay, 8 is not less than 6. So no problem. Move further. Okay. I am standing on index number 3. Okay. This is not the maximum index. So let us try to have a comparison. Is 8 less than 2 times of 8? Is 8 less than 8? No, that is false. So no problem. Okay. Then I come to this index. Is this the maximum index? No. Is maximum less than 2 times of 2? No. So no problem. So now my for loop terminates naturally. So when my for loop terminates naturally, I know that every element, the maximum number is greater than or equal to 2 times all the other elements. Because if it was not, I would have break from the loop. Are you getting the idea what I'm trying to say? Code पे जाता हूँ, समझ आएगा. See, I am first of all checking I not equal to index. So if I is equal to index, right? That means you are standing on the maximum element and you don't need to do a comparison. So you will not even come to do this comparison. But if I is not equal to index, that means you are not standing on the maximum element. So I do a comparison check. Okay. Max is less than 2 times ARR of I. If my maximum number of the array is lesser than 2 times of ARR of I, that means the condition has been violated. So what do? I just do a break. I do a break. Okay. And when I come out of the loop via break, what should I print, guys? Can anybody help me? I should print a -1, right? Let's make another flag, right? Let's make a flag. Boolean flag equal to false. Okay. So if I see अरे भाई देखो, अगर maximum, if max is greater than 2 times ARR of I or equal to 2 times ARR of I, you don't have a problem, right? If the maximum number is less than 2 times of ARR of I, then you have a problem. So then we set the flag as true and break. And outside the for loop, I can check if flag equal to true. That means you had a number such that maximum was less than 2 times of that number. So what should I print? I will print a -1. समझ आ रहा है? Is this making sense? I am not sure. Right? Otherwise, else what will you print? Else, if my flag remained false, that is, for every valid index, maximum was greater than equal to 2 times of ARR of I. So what will I print here? Can anybody tell me? What should I print in the else block? IND. Very good. System.out.println index of the maximum number. Okay. अभी एक बार इसको रन करते हैं. I'll repeat this 1 second. Try to run it and see. Index 1, let's try to submit. See whether it works fine. Okay, so all the test cases passed here, so that's not a problem. So let's try to do at a full screen and let's explain once again. हाँ भाई बताओ अब. हाँ, see. Try to understand. I am telling you. I'll tell you. Please unmute me one time. करता हूँ 1 minute. Let me explain and let me finish. I'll unmute. Okay. Now let us try to understand what have I actually done. देखो भाई मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. Let's take this example, right? Let's take it as 8 is my maximum number. Let's take 2, 3, 4, 8. Okay. Now I'll give you an idea, full question idea. Okay. And this is 7. Okay. This is the array that we have taken, right? Now, first of all, you will determine the maximum number, which will be 8. अच्छा मैं यहाँ पे लिख नहीं पाता हूँ for some reason. I'll try to write a little less. Okay. And the index will be what? 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. यहाँ तक सबको clear है? Is everyone clear till this part? Line number 24. या किसी को इधर भी doubt है? No? Okay. Now try to understand what we want to do. मेरे को verify करना है कि the maximum number should be greater than or equal to 2 times of every other number. It should be at least twice of all the other numbers. Now try to understand what we are doing. I start iterating. I have a flag, okay, and I have made my flag equal to false. ठीक है, मैं start करता हूँ iterate करना. I start from index number 1. Just give me 1 second. I start from index number 0. I is equal to 0. So first of all, I check. Is I not equal to I and D? Check. 0 not equal to 3. That is true, right? That is true. So this condition evaluates to be true. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? I not equal to end. I not equal to end means you don't use equal to in line 28. Why not? देखो मैं बता रहा हूँ, समझो सब बता रहा हूँ. ओके सी ऐसा लेते हैं. हाँ, okay. Let's try to understand, right? So what we are doing is we start I from index 0. Okay, I not equal to index. What is I and D? I and D is the index of the maximum number. Okay, so the maximum number of the array is 8, and at what index it is coming? It is coming at index number 3. Okay, तो अभी मैं start करता हूँ. ठीक है, I equal to 0 से start किया. I is not equal to index, not equal to I and D, right? I am at index 0, right? And 0 is not equal to 3. So you are standing at an index which is not containing the maximum element. अब मैं check करता हूँ. What is the maximum element? 8. Is 8 less than 2 times 2? Is 8 less than 2 times 2? Is 8 less than 2 times? Definitely not, right? So that means this number 2 is not posing a problem, right? The maximum number is at least greater than or equal to 2 times of ARR of I. Do you agree with me? भैया देखो 2 times of 2 is not, max is not less than 2 times of 2, right? So this number is not posing a problem to you. Let us move forward. I do a I plus plus. Okay. Now I becomes 1. Okay. First of all, you check. Is I not equal to I and D? Definitely 1 is not equal to 3. That means you are still not at the index of the maximum number. So you do a checking. ये वाला true हुआ. So you go to this checking. What is max? Max is 8. Is 8 lesser than 2 times of 3? Is 8 less than 6? No. That means 8 is not less than 6, right? So that means my maximum number is greater than equal to 2 times of ARR of I, not posing a problem, right? So you don't enter inside the if block. Okay, move further. ये 3 से भी कोई problem नहीं हुआ है. Now the index of I becomes 2. I becomes 2. Okay. First of all, I check. I not equal to I and D. Yes, that is true. That means you are not at the index of the maximum element. So I will check. What was my maximum number? 8. Is 8 less than 2 times of 4? Is 8 less than 2 times of 4? Tell me. Here you will understand why have I not used an equality. Is 8 less than 8? Is it true? No, it is not true, right? So this will also evaluate to be false and you will not enter the if block. मतलब ये 4 के कारण मेरे को कोई problem नहीं हुआ है. Why? Because the maximum number is greater than or equal to 2 times of this number 4. Okay, it's greater than equal to 2 times of this number. No problem. Now I comes here, and now you will understand why I have used this condition. Now see guys, this is the maximum number, right? Now my index is equal to 3. So I see I not equal to 3, 3 not equal to 3, this will be false, right? So the moment the first condition evaluates to be false, you won't even check the second condition and you just move an I forward. I को आगे बढ़ा दोगे, ठीक है? Because guys, try to understand, when you are standing at the maximum element, आप क्या comparison करोगे? Nothing ना. You have to compare all elements with the maximum element, right? When you are standing on the maximum element, and if you compare ARR of I with max, then that will be a problem, right? You are comparing the maximum with itself. That is wrong. That is why we had this. कि भैया जब भी I की value end होगी ना, when I is equal to end, you don't do anything. You don't do anything. Just move forward. Okay. Now I come here, right? Now I is not equal to index, correct? I check. Is max less than 2 times ARR of I? 8 is less than 2 times of 7? Yes, definitely. That means this number 7 is posing a problem. So I enter inside the if block, I set my flag to true and I break. And outside the for loop, I check. If my flag is true, that means you found a number that was violating. Okay. So my max was not greater than or equal to 2 times of 7. Okay. So I print a -1. Else what I will do? We would have printed IND, which is the index of the maximum number. Okay. You can also use continue. That is also fine. Okay. देखो भैया मैक्स अगर लेस देन 2 टाइम्स हो, देखो मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ, मैं बता रहा हूँ व्हेन डू यू हैव टू प्रिंट अ -1, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. मैं बोल रहा हूँ इफ यू सी दैट मैक्स इज लेस देन 2 टाइम्स ARR of I, देन इट इज अ प्रॉब्लम. सो यू सेट फ्लैग एज ट्रू एंड ब्रेक, राइट? और अगर फ्लैग ट्रू है तो -1 करो. तो अगर तुम लोग देख रहे हो कि मैक्स ऑलवेज टर्न्स आउट टू बी ग्रेटर देन इक्वल टू 2 टाइम्स ऑफ ARR of I, then you will never enter the if block and you will never break the loop, right? The loop will terminate naturally. Flag will remain at false only. So when the flag is false, you just print the index of the maximum number. Is it making sense, guys? Yes. What's the time? Okay. See, the time in problem solving session, it actually disappears very quickly, right? You solve 3 to 4 questions, you see that 2 hours have passed. Okay. So anyways, cool. So try to do a dry run. Try to do a dry run of this question, right? When I is 0, then what will be the index? See, IND is the index of the maximum number, right? So that largest number from array अभी नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है? अच्छा guys, I gave you a homework yesterday to find the substring of all the substrings of a given string. Did anyone try that question? Okay. Okay, I'm not coming to that at this point of time. If you have tried it, that's good enough, right? Cool. So this is working fine. What if we do max is greater? No. If you do a max greater than equal to, then you have to change the condition, right? Somehow. मैं बोल रहा हूँ कब condition violate हो रहा है? When max is less than 2 times ARR of I. Condition violated. Enter inside, set flag to true and break. Okay. See, I needed to have a flag at this time because there are 2 ways in which this for loop terminates. Same problem, right? If it terminates naturally, that means you didn't have any violation. But if it terminates using a break, there has been a violation, right? So there are 2 different outputs for the 2 different scenarios. Okay. Largest number from array अभी नहीं बता सकता. You won't understand. बाद में करेंगे वो. Okay. Cool guys. Now let us move forward. Let me open my notepad. Prime number peak element ये कर लिया. अब करना तो था थोड़ा questions matrix से. Okay. Let's come to matrix, right? I had written here 3-4 problems, but I don't think we have that much amount of time. What is debug? Debug is nothing. Debug is like you're just printing things in order to understand what is going on, right? So let's come to the next question. Let's move to matrices, right? A little bit about 2D arrays कर लेते हैं. Okay. So I think let's start with the question that I had given you. Okay. Which was alt matrix sum tha shayad wo. Let's check out. Alt matrix, right? I not equal to. ट्राई टू थिंक, एक बार सोचो, अगर नहीं समझ में आएगा तो मैं बाद में बताता हूँ. ओके, या टुमारो देयर इज अ टेस्ट, राइट? So let's start with the alternate. If possible, please give us 5 minutes break. Okay, you guys want a break? You can take a break of 5 minutes, right? And then we'll continue. So can we make the session go till 2 o'clock? So I think I'll try to cover 2 questions from matrix also. Yes. So if everyone is fine, we can do till 2. Otherwise, if you want to end, I think we'll cover this one question and we can end. Whatever is the majority comfortable with, I don't have a problem. ठीक है, तो चलो 5 मिनट का ब्रेक ले लेते हैं. And then let's continue forward, right? I'll take 2 questions for the matrix also. Okay, cool. So let's take a break of 5 minutes. Okay, we'll meet at 12:55 and start again. Okay, कर लो यार, लंच भी कर लो, कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. ठीक है. Sorting assignments, if there are any uploaded, don't worry, we will get to that also. Time comes, we'll get to that. Spiral wala. Do string problem. Okay. Ashutosh, I think strings आज शायद ही ले पाए because we are lacking in time, right? But yeah. But yes, I would like to know the feedback, right? Does this kind of session help you? और टाइम पास बात भी कर ही लेते हैं, अभी 5 मिनट का ब्रेक है. Okay, that's great, right? Yeah. So yeah, I'll try to have more of these sessions. Tomorrow we won't have, right? Because you have a test already. So I don't want to bother you all on the day of the test. Prepare करो, पढ़ो अपना test दो बढ़िया से, ठीक है? And next weekend again we can have a couple of sessions on Saturday and Sunday. Okay. Yes, Humedi. I don't have a problem, right? As long as people are willing to turn up and solve, I don't have a problem. Sitting down Saturday, Sunday, 2 hours in the morning, I don't have a problem, right? ठीक है, तो वेट करते हैं. जितने ये क्वेश्चन एक बार खुद से कोड करने का ट्राई करना. समझ आ रहा है, बट 100% नहीं आ रहा. Oh, so you will have to put in some efforts at your end as well. थोड़ा सा वापस से क्वेश्चन रीड करो. Try to do a dry run on a piece of pen and paper, right? So you will understand. लार्जेस्ट नंबर का हिंट ये है कि बेसिकली you know how do you form the largest number? That will depend on the string concatenation. You can't take a normal judgment, right? Okay, so yeah, let's do this. Okay, let's now just get a break of 2 minutes. 2 minutes is more pending, and then we can talk. Okay, I'll also drink some water and be back, right? Just give me 2 minutes. Okay, so yeah, I'm back. Missing all the conversations, please give some guidance. I'm unable to remember. See, try to write more code, right? When you write more code, now you will be more hands-on with writing the code yourself. So that will help you to understand, right? Spiral and Boolean, sab karaunga. Don't worry. Okay, guys, let's start. Let's start once again. I think good enough break, right? So let's read this question, right? Let's read this question. And what if we fail in tomorrow's exam? I think this question was asked yesterday also, right? So it's not a problem. It's like more of a check for you all, where you are standing, how much you are prepared, right? So think of it as a learning, take it as a learning, even if you are unable to perform or don't have any pressure, right? Kya hoga zyada se zyada? This is just an intermediate check, right? If you have to take pressure of the last module test, right? For that also, I won't suggest taking pressure, but if you want to take there. Beach wala leke kya hi fayda, matlab. It's just a way to understand where you all are standing, where you need to put more efforts. Just go and give the test bindas, है ना. नहीं होगा तो क्या होगा यार, 4 नया क्वेश्चन सीखोगे बाद में और क्या, ठीक है. But yes, you will understand where you are lagging behind. That's important. How can you solve problems on strings if it comes tomorrow's test? छोड़ देना यार strings, मतलब मुझे नहीं पता. They have put strings, I am not aware. Okay, so yeah, let's come here. Like let's focus here, right? I am more interested on the last test that we'll be giving. So that's, you know, that's the last laugh. Okay, so let's try to read this question, right? Let's read this question. You are given a chessboard of size n by n. This I had given you as an homework, right? You are given a chessboard of size n by n, okay, where the top left square is black and each square contains a value. Find the sum of all the black squares and find the sum of all the white squares. Okay. And to class ending time, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We'll end at 2. Okay. Okay. Each square contains a value. You have to find the sum of all the black and the white squares, right? Remember that in a chessboard, black and white squares alternate. Okay. And input user task hai, input consists of n and the numbers n by n in matrix. You need to print out the sum of the black squares and then the white squares in the next line. Let us see. Okay. So you have been given input 3 and then you will be given a 3 by 3 matrix. Okay. And now you have to find the sum of all the black squares and you have to find the sum of all the white squares, right? And the black square is the top left square is black and every other cell is alternate, right? Alternate black and white aata hai. Okay. So in order to attempt these kind of questions, right? First of all, you just draw something for your convenience, right? So let's draw. Let's take two types of drawings, right? One is an even cross even, right? A 4 cross cross ek le lete, 4 cross 4. Okay. And in another example, take an odd sized matrix. Okay. Let's take off 3 by 3. Two examples and we'll understand them, right? Now, what it is telling that the topmost left square is always black. Okay. So let's not use black. We'll use different colors here. Okay. So let's say that the topmost left is blue in color. Okay. Blue and black hai, theek hai? So jisme main shade kar raha hu, that is a blue colored, and which I am leaving, that is a black. So the topmost left is a blue colored square. And then you have things alternately. This was a blue, this will be black. This is again a blue, this is a black. This see here there was a blue, so iske niche there will be a black. So you will have here blue, here you will have a 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 blue. Okay, this is how my entire cell looks like, right? So what it is telling, see, we are doing the alternate matrix sum question from portal. You can open the portal, right? So basically you have been given a chessboard with, you know, blue and black squares or black and white squares, whatever. So the top left square is blue and every other alternate cell is blue. Now guys, try to understand one thing. Every other alternate cell does not mean this. This is blue, skip this is blue, skip this is blue. No. Horizontally and vertically, both you have to see, right? Because this is a blue cell. Just give me 1 second. Yeah. So it's basically not like only alternate row wise or column wise, right? You have to see in both the directions, right? So if this is a blue, iske niche mein blue nahi hoga. There will be a black, right? Something like this. So now it is telling you all the squares have certain numbers, right? So can you please find the sum of the blue squares and can you please give me the sum of the black squares? Something like this, right? So my job is to first identify, how do you know whether you are standing on a blue square or you are standing on a black square? How will I determine whether I am standing on a blue square or a black square? That is the important question that we have to address. And if we are able to address that, our job is done. Then it is a simple iteration and adding up. How do I know? Let us write indexes, right? I know that every cell has indexes. Let us write. Okay. Now let's have a look at the topmost left square. Let us have a look at this blue square. what is the value of I plus j for this cell? For this cell, can you tell me the value of I plus j for this cell? I ka index is 0 and j index. This is 0, 0, right? This is 0, 0. So can I say I plus j is equal to 0? Can I say I plus j is 0? Yes. Now try to understand, guys. So I and j are both 0, 0. Now, when you move one direction down or one direction to the right, what will happen? जब आप right में move कर रहे हो, you are changing the value of j by 1. When you move down, you are changing the value of I by 1. So when you move to the right or to the bottom, either the value of I will change or the value of j will change, right? By 1. So the sum which was even, that will become odd. सोच के देखो. Here there was 0, 0. When you move to the right, this is cell 0, 1, and my summation has become odd. 0 plus 1 is 1, which is odd. Again, when you move one place to the right, you will come to 0, 2. Again, the summation has gone to be even. When you move one place to the right, 0, 3, summation is odd. Okay. Now let's see. From here, if you move to the bottom right, this is 1, 0. Again, odd, right? From 0, 0, you changed one number to be 1, 0. So it is odd. Now, when you move to the right hand side, again, some odd tha and you move to the right hand side. So you will add 1 to the column. So this will be 1, 1, and this is an even sum. So you will see that all the cells which have I plus j as even, they are blue colored cells. And all the cells that have I plus j as odd, I plus j odd, they are known as the black cells. Do you all agree? Can you identify this pattern? That's it. My job is done. So what I will do, I will iterate over the entire matrix. And when I am standing on a particular cell I, j, I will first of all check if I plus j is even. That means I am standing on a blue cell. So I will take its value and add it to a blue sum. Okay. And if I am standing on a black cell, I will take its value, add it to a black cell. That's it. Okay. That is the most important thing for you to understand is the topmost left square will have I plus j as even. And all alternate cells will show the same pattern. आप एक नीचे जाओ odd. देखो ना, guys, the summation here is, try to understand like this. The summation here is even, right? And when I say even, I don't want to say the number that is contained in the square. When I say the summation is even, I am talking about the sum of the indexes. The summation is even. You move one place to the right, odd ho jayega. Move one place, again even, again odd. Moved on, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd, even, odd. Okay. So all the even cells, right, which have the sum of their indexes as even, they are basically blue cells and all other are black cells. Okay. Now let's try to solve this question. Okay. So first of all, we have to make a scanner and the same old tradition. Let's make it. Achha, how many variables I need to store the sum? Can anybody tell me how many variables I need to store the sum? 2 variables, right? One will contain the black sum and other will contain the white sum. The sum of all the numbers on the white squares, and one will contain the sum of all the numbers on the black squares. But first of all, let us make a matrix. N cross N matrix. Now let's take the input from the user for this matrix. For int I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So what are we doing? I is iterating over the row indexes. So first of all, the value of I will be 0. So for row number 0, you iterate through all the columns. So j will start from 0, j will go till n, j plus plus. So you iterate through all the columns, you take the input and store it in mat of ij. So first of all, you will take the inputs for the first row, then the value of I will become 1. Then you take the inputs for all the numbers in the second row, and likewise. So via these nested loops, you are able to take inputs for the matrix. Okay. Now what I will do, let us make 2 variables, right? Int black sum and initialize it with 0. And let us make another variable int white sum and initialize it with 0. I have made 2 different variables. One will be storing the sum of all the black squares and the other will be storing the sum of all the white squares. Now what will I do? I will again iterate through the matrix. Okay. Let's iterate through the matrix. And guys, you will realize that you can do the same thing when you take input for the matrix also. But just for clarity, I am doing it separately. Okay. So now I again iterate through the matrix. How do I iterate? Standard nested for loops. For int I equal to 0, I less than n. So I will basically, denote the row index for me. And for every row, I will iterate through all the columns. J equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. Okay. Now, inside this loop, can I say I am standing on the cell I comma j? I am standing on the cell which is having an index I comma j. So first of all, let me check if it is a black cell or not. How do I check? If I plus j, if I plus j modulo 2 equal to 0, that is I am standing on a cell which has the sum of indexes as even, then can I claim that boss, this cell is a black cell? The topmost left cell is a black and every other alternate is a black cell. Can I say this cell I comma j which I am standing on, this is a black cell? So what will I do? I will do black sum plus equal to, okay, whatever is the element here, I will take it up. And because this is a black square, I will add this element in the black sum. Okay. Else. If I plus j is not even, then it is odd. That means you are standing on a white cell. So you will take the number and add it to white sum, that of ij. Okay. Job done. So likewise, you iterate through the entire matrix and add your numbers to the white sum or the black sum. And then later outside this for loop, you have your black and white sum available. And what do I want to print? I want to print two lines. The first will be containing black and the second is white. So first of all, let us print the black sum. Okay. And then let us print the white sum. Now let's try to run it and see first if it's working fine or not. I'll repeat from 21, don't worry. I'll repeat for 21. एक मिनट पहले करके रन देख लेते हैं जरा. $25.20 output matches. Fine. Let's try to submit. Okay, good. So the test cases have passed. So let's look at the code and try to understand. Okay, let's come back to the code. Now let's see it, right? Let's see it. See what we have done. First of all, this part is as simple, right? Does anyone have any problem here? Till line number 18, any problem? Any problem for anyone till line number 18? That's a basic taking inputs for a matrix, right? We have already covered that. So half problem done, right? 50% of the problem you understood, right? 36 में 18 lines तो हो गया. Ab line number 19 and 20 is also pretty simple, right? You have just initialized two variables. This will store the sum of all the numbers which are present in the black squares. And line number 20, you are initializing a variable which will store the sum of the numbers that are present in the white squares. Okay. Now, let's take an example. Four by four. Okay. Let's write numbers, whatever you want. Okay. Now this is the chessboard that is given to me, right? So now I start iterating, right? I know that the topmost left square is a blue square. Okay. And every other alternate cell will be like this. Okay. So I start iterating, right? So I start for int I equal to 0. So I ka value is 0. That is, I am at row number 0. Now my j starts iterating. J starts from also 0. Okay. J starts from 0. So first of all, I check. I be 0 hai, j be 0 hai. That means I am standing on the cell 0, 0. I am standing on this cell. So first of all, I check. I plus j, 0 plus 0. What is 0 plus 0? 0, which is even, right? So because I plus j mod 2 is equal to 0, that means I am standing on a cell such that I plus j is even. The coordinates sum up to give me an even number. That means I am standing on a blue colored or a black colored cells. Okay. See this loop. See, first of all, the value of I is 0. Next, this loop starts running. For I equal to 0, this loop will start running. First of all, the value of j will be 0 and I check I plus j. 0 plus 0 mod 2 is 0, right? That means I am standing on a black square. So what will I do? Mat of ij, mat of 0, 0 will be 8. I take this number 8 and I add it to my black sum. So my black sum will now become 8. Okay. Then what will happen? Then j plus plus happens. The value of j becomes 1. That means I have come to explore the second element in this row. Okay. Now what will happen? I ka value is 0 and j ka value has become 1. So I check. 0 plus 1 is 1. That means I am standing on an odd cell. Okay. The cell whose coordinates sum up to be an odd value. That means it is a white cell. So what will I do? I enter into the else block. I take this mat of ij, which is 9, and I add it to my white sum. So my white sum will now become 9. So if I write here white, what if they said the first box is odd? How can the first box be odd? The first box, the topmost left box can never be odd, right? 0, 0, how can it be odd? Okay. See, guys, there are two different things that we are talking about. One is this mat of ij. This is the content that is present in the cell I, j. It has nothing to do with the color, right? Mat of ij has nothing to do with the color. Odd, even I don't care, right? What has to do with the color is I, j. The indexes have something to do with the color. If I plus j, if you add up the x and the y coordinate, that is, if you add the row index and the column index, if this addition is even, then it is a what cell? Black cell. And if this coordinate addition is odd, then it is a white cell. Okay. So now I come to j equal to 2. Now j ka value will become 2. Okay. And again, you will check I is 0, j is 2. So 0 plus 2 is 2. That is even. That means this is a black cell. So you will take this value, mat of ij is 3. You will add it to your black cell. So my sum will become 11. Okay. Then the value of j will become 3. Okay. Now 0 plus 3 is 3, which is odd. So this is a white cell. So I will take this number mat of ij and I will add it to my white sum. White sum becomes 11. Okay. Now see guys, 9 plus 2 is 11. 8 plus 3 is also 11. Ye by ho gaya coincidentally. Okay. Next again, what will happen? I plus plus will now happen. Now you come to the row with index number 1. Now the value of I will become 1. And j again starts from 0. J again starts from 0. So what will you check? I is 1, j is 0. 1 plus 0 is 1, which is odd. That means this cell is basically an odd cell. Okay. That is, it is a white cell. So what I will do? I will enter the else part, take this number mat of ij as 1, add it to my white sum. White sum will become 12. Then j plus plus happens. I come to this. Okay. So I is 1, j is 1. What is 1 plus 1? 1 plus 1 is 2. Okay. And 2 is an even. So this is an even cell. Right. And when I say even cell, I don't mean to say of the value, right? Indexes. Okay. So this is a black cell. So I will take this number, add it to my black sum. Black sum becomes 19. And likewise, I will keep on iterating through the entire matrix and I will, add the numbers for the black and white cells separately. Is this making sense, guys? Iteration, nahi samajh aa raha. Iteration mein kya hai? Iteration is nothing, right? It's just a basic iteration. For int I equal to 0, pehle I ki value 0 hogi. Then for I equal to 0, you will run, j will run from 0 till n. Okay. So you will run through all the columns in row number I. Okay. And then you will check if I plus j, if the current cell is an even cell, then it is a black cell. So you take the value, add it to black sum. Else you take the value and add it to white sum. That's it. Okay. एक बार dry run करना, you will understand, right? Okay, let's come back. And guys, don't worry, all these questions will actually, they are slated to be done in the doubts also. So if anyone has any doubts, don't worry, this will get repeated in the doubts, right? Because these are important questions. Okay. Let's take another question. Okay. Let's do this, right? Alternate manner matrix traversal, right? Spiral, I'll leave for you guys to try once. That's also a good question, right? Yeah. Okay. So I think, what if we have to find how many black boxes are there? Acha, what will you do if you have to find how many black boxes are there? What will you do? And it's very simple, yaar. Kuch nahi karna hai. If I plus j percentage to equal to 0, just do a count plus plus, right? And that count variable will basically tell you how many black squares you encountered. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, cool. Now let's come to alternate matrix traversal, right? See, all questions here now. Every question is good and definitely you will learn something new from every question here. Okay, we have like set the questions like that only. But yeah, let's take up another basic question. Spiral traversal अभी नहीं, पहले तुम लोग try करो एक बार. Okay. Okay. Let's do this alternate meaning travel. I'll ask you guys to try and do this, right? This is a basic and an easy question. So what is the question? Given a 2D array, the task is to print the 2D array in alternate manner. The first row you have to print from left to right, then right to left, so on. Okay. So if I want to show you an example, very simple. See, you have been given a matrix, right? आपके पास एक matrix दिया हुआ है. Okay, I have been given a matrix, right? How were we printing matrices till now? We were printing like this, right? 1, 2, 8, 7. Then we printed 6, 5, 8, 9. Then we printed 1, 2, 8, 6. Then we printed 11, 10, 9, 6. Then we printed 5, 8, 7, 4. Now this time the problem is telling you, you print in alternate fashion. Matlab, first row you will print from left to right. So you print 1, 2, 8, 7. The second row you will print from right to left. That is 9, 8, 5, 6. So मेरा output कैसे दिखेगा? 1, 2, 8, 7. Then you will print 9, 8, 5, 6. Then you will again print 1, 2, 8, 6. Then you will print 6, 9, 10, 11. Then you will print 5, 8, 7, 9. Alternate directions, right? The first row has to be traveled from left to right. Second row from right to left. Third row again from left to right. Fourth row again from right to left. Fifth row again from left to right. Alternate directions of traversal need to happen. Okay. This is the question. Is the question clear to everyone? How do I need to print the matrix? Very basic question. Okay. Now, can you guys only try to help me with this? Portal khol lo. Everyone open your portal if you haven't solved this question before. I'm not sure if you have done it or not. But yeah. So, and you have to print all the numbers in a single line, right? You have to print all the numbers in a single line. Okay. So I will ask your help here. Can anybody come up with the approach for this? It's supposed to be a problem solving session. So let's try to get some inputs from you also. How do you determine which direction you have to go to? Good. Odd even, right? तो देखो भैया सबसे बड़ा प्रॉब्लम क्या है? Class ends at 2. Okay. So the biggest thing that we have to understand here is when you are standing at a particular row, which direction you want to travel in. Okay. Which direction you want to travel in. Okay. So for that, I will tell you, this is row number 0. This is row number 1. This is row number 2. This is row number 3. This is row number 4. So try to understand, guys, whenever you are standing on an even index row, you travel from left to right. And whenever you are standing on an odd index row, you travel from right to left. Is this fact making sense? जब भी आप even row पे हो, आप left से right travel करोगे. Whenever you are on the odd row, you will travel from right to left. As simple as that, right? So let us try to, code this up. Can you guys help me? Code बताना. Input output कुछ नहीं है, right? Standard input format, right? Standard way of taking inputs of an 2D matrix, right? So first of all, how are they giving us inputs? Great. So we don't ऐसे दिया ये लोग. Okay. Let's say it's not very clear what is the input and output format. It's not very clear, but I will expect that they are giving a. यार ये तो थोड़ा गलत बात है. How do you know? Now let's see. Let's take an input and see, right? अब इसमें थोड़ा अपन को वो करना पड़ेगा. But let's see. New scanner. I would assume that they are giving an M cross N matrix. At least that is what looks from the two examples. Okay. Let's see now. We'll do a run and then we'll see. Important thing is the concept, right? So I make a scanner, right? Let's take an input in 10. Okay. And then I make a matrix. N cross N ही बना रहा हूँ. Okay. Then, yeah, I'll see the test case. Okay. So now let's just iterate and take inputs. Okay. So for int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. Okay. for int j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. Okay, I'll take an input mat of ij equal to sc dot next. Okay, take an input from the user. Now what I want to do? Now I want to print this matrix in alternate fashion. So let me start. Right? Acha. Chalo bhai karte hain. For I'll start iterating through the rows, right? करके देखते हैं यार, मेरे को भी नहीं पता. Let's see. For each ले सकते हो. We'll see. We'll explore, right? You can definitely explore. Okay. So there is no problem if it is. Yes, there is no problem, right? But because the question has not been stated in a very well fashion, I don't know if we have to take n cross m or n cross n. So for my simplicity, I have done with n cross n. And फिर करके देखते हैं, input output देखते हैं क्या आता है. ठीक है. So for int I equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. So I am at row with index I. Do you all agree? I am at the row with index I. Okay. So अभी मैं क्या करूंगा? I will check the boss if I percentage 2 equal to 0. That means I am standing at a row with even index. So what did we want to do for even index rows? We have to print from left to right. So let us start, right? So for int j is equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. So j will start from 0, go all the way till n. That is from left till right. And what do? I do a system.out.print mat of ij, and let's just print spaces also. ठीक है, ये कर दिया. So this is from left to right. Okay. Now tell me guys, what should I do in the else part? Else part मतलब क्या हुआ guys? You are on a row which is having an odd index. So I want to print from the right to left. So where should I start from? I will start for int j is equal to n minus 1. It will start from the right hand side. Okay. J greater than equal to 0, j minus minus. So this is traveling from right till left, right? And what will I do? I will simply do a system.out.print mat of ij. So here right से left print होगा, right? Plus follows the spaces. Okay, job done. This is the basic code that we have been writing. Where are this thing? Let's try to run it and see what happens, right? Even I am. एक काम करते हैं सबसे पहले तो, ये जो इतना बेकार तरीके से दिया हुआ है, I'll just put an input of my own first of all. 4, okay, 1 2 1 2 2 3. Let's run the code and see whether 1 2 3 to आना चाहिए output. Let's see what happened. Something's got wrong. No such element. Where did we miss? Did we miss somewhere? Jn minus 1. 4 cross 4. Oh, okay. Sorry. Aha. What am I doing? Wait. Sorry, my bad. One, two, three, two. Okay, 1 2 3 2 coming fine. Let's try to submit and see. मेरे को भी नहीं पता यार क्या होगा. Okay, great. So 9 on 10 test cases failed. So let's have a look at a failed test case. So this is a 10 cross 10 matrix. We don't. Okay. So 10 cross 10. एक मिनट रुकना हाँ. Okay. So it's an M cross N matrix, right? It's an M cross N matrix. So let us modify, right? First of all, I take M as input. Then I take N as input. चलो modify कर देते हैं. That is what I no. Let's. ठीक है. Then I make a matrix of size M cross N. Change कर देते हैं. ठीक है. I'll iterate. Okay. Now what I'll do? I'll iterate M. Is it fine now, guys? Does the code look fine now? See, what I've done, I've changed, right? I've taken M and N as input for row and column, and then we have done it, right? Now let's try to submit it and see. Do they write test case manually? I am not sure. Okay. So now all the code ran. So is everyone clear with the idea? See, what have I done is, let's move to full screen. I'll explain it once. Okay. Pretty basic code, right? So first of all, you have taken an m cross n matrix input from the user, right? Now what are you doing? You are iterating over the matrix, right? You are iterating over the matrix. So first of all, I key value is 0. That is, you are at row with index 0. So what are you doing? If I percentage 2 equal to 0, that is, you are at a row which is having an even index. Okay. So I am at row number 0. So what I will do? I enter inside the if block and I will run j from 0 till n. Okay. So first of all, mat of 0, 0 will be printed. Then mat of 0, 1 will be printed. Then mat of 0, 2 will be printed. Then mat of 0, 3 will be printed. Let me take an example. एक बार में clear हो जाएगा. Take this, right? Very simple. Right? So I start. I is equal to 0 से start हुआ है, right? Now because I का value is 0, this is even. So I enter inside the if block and what I will do, j will start from 0 and go till n. Okay. So what I'm doing, j starts at 0. First of all, I print mat of 0, 0, which is 1. Then j ka value will become 1. I print mat of 0, 1. So I print 2. Then j ka value will become 2. I print mat of 0, 2, which is 3. Then j ka value will become 3. I print mat of 0, 3. Okay. So 2 will be printed. Then what happens? Then I plus plus will happen. I plus plus will happen. I go to the next row. Now this time I is odd, right? So I will enter into the else part. Because I is odd, I enter into the else part and I will be printing from right to left. So this time my j starts from n minus 1. How many columns are there? There are n columns, right? So I start from the last column. The last column is having index number n minus 1. So this is index number 0, 1, 2, 3. So j starts at index 3 and it will come till 0. So what will happen? First of all, I print mat of 1, 3. So 6 is printed. Then the value of j will become 2. Then I print mat of 1, 2, 7 is printed. J ka value will become 1. Then I print mat of 1, 1, 9 is printed. J ka value becomes 0. Then I print mat of 1, 0, 8 is printed. And then this loop terminates. And then I plus plus karoge, you will see you are outside the matrix. Okay. Yes, line number 22 is telling that if the index of the row is even, then you print it from left to right. And else ka mein kab aoge, if the index of the row is odd, you print from right to left. As simple as that, right? Because the first row has index 0 and you print it from left to right. The second row has index 1, you print it from right to left. The third row has index 2, you print it from left to right. So even index, you print from left to right. Odd index, you print from right to left. As simple as that. Is everyone clear with this? Okay. Yeah. So we can move further. I think we can take one more question. अरे it's pretty simple. See, what is happening is, सबसे पहले मैंने input ले लिया है पूरा matrix का, ठीक है? Now what I am telling is, I iterate over the matrix. Okay? For int I equal to 0, I'll assume row wise मैं iterate करूँगा. Now when I am at an even index row, okay? क्या है question? एक second. How you already know it is odd or even? I don't know na. That is why I've written an if else condition. Ki boss, if the value of I is even, that means I have to print the row from left to right. So I run a loop from left till right, from j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus, and I print the elements. Else, if I percentage 2 is not 0, that means you are at a row with odd index. So you have to print it from right to left. So I run j from n minus 1 till 0, and I print mat of ij. As simple as that. Okay. Boolean sir, please exam में आया था. चलो यार बता देते. Is everyone clear with this? Nothing, guys. Just depending on the row index, you are printing either from left to right is your iteration or right to left is your iteration. Okay. Spiral में you have to iterate in 4 directions: left to right, right to down, right to left, bottom से up ऐसे भी जाना होगा. We'll see. Okay. Did it come in the last module test? Did it come in the last module test में आया था क्या? Okay. So that question was asked in the module test. It seems I'm not aware. Largest number के लिए रुकना पड़ेगा, guys. I am time and again telling the same thing. Right? Let's take one more question today, and I think with that it will be time. Okay. Loops कहाँ पे आएगा ये? 2D arrays. Yeah, one more question we'll take and then we'll call it a day today. Okay. So let's take the Boolean matrix. So this was asked in one of the module tests, seems like. So let's try to do it. देख पढ़ते हैं पहले question क्या है. ठीक है. First, let's read the question, right? So I'll give you a couple of minutes. Okay. I'll give you, and in this question also, you guys will learn something new. Okay, you guys will learn something new. First, read the question yourself. Boolean matrix problem. Read करो पहले. Yes, definitely. Definitely. जितना questions आप practice कर सकते हो करो, right? The more problems you solve, the more your thought process starts to mature, right? I think the best way to learn DSA is solving problems and solving more and more problems, right? So there is no end to theory, no end to that, right? Once you learn basic theory, get your hands dirty and try to solve problems. That is like the best way to learn. Okay. Have a read at the question. We'll also read. Yes, I can share a couple of some more questions, 5-6 more questions on 2D matrices, right? I won't have the test cases and all this, but I'll at least share the questions. Give me 1 minute, guys. Just read the question once and see whether you understand the question completely or not. I'll drink some water meanwhile. Okay, let's come back. Okay, so what it is telling, you are given a matrix mat of m rows and n columns. So मेरे पास एक matrix है which has m rows and n columns, right? The matrix is Boolean, so the elements of the matrix can either be 0 or 1. Now, if any row of the matrix contains a 1, you need to fill that whole row with 1. And after doing the above mentioned operation, you need to print the modified matrix. Question is pretty simple, right? Let's take this input, right? So you have been given a 5x4 matrix and this is your 5x4 matrix. अब देखो guys, if any row contains a 1, right? अगर एक row में मेरे को 1 दिख गया ना, so I will have to fill that entire row with 1. I have to fill that entire row with 1. So see what I am doing, right? So 1, see, take the entire matrix as input, then you start scanning, right? This is 1, then this entire row should be filled with 1. See, I have filled all entries with 1. Okay. Second row doesn't have a 1, no problem. Okay. Third row, it is having a 1. So this row should also be turned into all ones. Fourth row में कुछ नहीं है. Fifth row में again there is a 1. So you need to convert every number to 1. Is the question making sense? Did you understand the question? If any row has at least 1, 1, convert all the numbers in that row to 1. As simple as that. Yes. चलो ठीक है. तो सबसे पहले यार एक काम करते हैं, इनपुट ले लेते हैं, ठीक है? Can anybody come up with a logic? Think in the most crude way. पहले एकदम सस्ता तरीका सोचते हैं, ठीक है? Let's think of the most basic crude way. Think that you have an array as input. You already have an array as input, right? What will you do? Let us try to think, right? Let us understand via this example, right? Let's say you have this array given to you, right? So what should be my output? Ideally, the first and the third row should go to all ones and the second row will remain as it is. Do you all agree? मैं दो तरीका बताऊंगा, right? One is a more elegant way and one is a less elegant way, right? So anyways, whatever you, I'll prefer the second method which I say, but let's understand first the very basic and the crude method, right? So what will I start? I start iterating through the matrix. So I start from row number 0. Okay. So ऐसा सोचो भैया, I have two for loops and I'm iterating, right? For I equal to 0. Let's say you have m rows, I less than m, I plus plus. Okay. Now for int j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. Now you are iterating over the matrix, right? अच्छा. तो चलो मैं भैया iterate कर रहा हूँ. I come to this element. This is a 0. अच्छा, this element is a 0. Do I need to do anything? देखो, see Kumar is also very good, right? You can take the sum or you can like, there can be multiple ways of doing this, right? I'll tell you 2 ways, right? Okay. So this is a 0. Do you need to do anything? कुछ नहीं करना, आगे बढ़ो. This element is also a 0. Do you want to do anything? Don't do anything. Now you come to this element. When you come to this element, you see that this number is a 1. This number is a 1, right? This number is a 1. So what should I do, guys? What should I do? क्या मेरे को बता सकते हो? When I see this number is a 1, I will iterate through this entire row from starting and convert all the numbers to 1. And then I can simply go to the next row. Do you all agree? Bhaiya, jaise hi I got a 1, I convert all the entries of this row to 1, and then I can simply go to the next loop. So can I do something like this? I don't know. I'm writing if ARR of ij, okay, equal to 1. That means this entire row needs to go to 1. This entire row needs to go to 1, right? So what should I do? I will iterate. Let's start iterating once again, right? For int, kahan se? J equal to 0. Again, let's start iterating. J less than n, J plus plus. I'll iterate through this row. And what I will do, ARR of ij, I will change every entry to 1. Okay. And once you have done this, what will I do? I will break and simply go to the next loop. Okay. भाई देखो पहले लॉजिक समझते हैं फिर कोड करेंगे, ठीक है? So what am I trying to do? 0 0 1 0 1 all zeros, and here you have 0 0 1 0 0. Okay. So in the first method, what do? I start iterating, right? This number is 0, no problem. Come here. This number is 0, no problem. Come here. This number is 1. The moment I see this number is 1, I know that all elements of this row should go to 1. So I iterate from the starting of this row, change to 1, change to 1, change to 1, change to 1, change to 1. Change all elements to 1, and I just simply come to the next row. I simply come to the next row. Again, start checking in this row. This is a 0, no problem, move on. 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 Done iterating through the second row, no problem. Come to the third row. This is a 0, move on. This is a 0, move on. This is a 1. The moment I find a 1, I will iterate through this row and change everything to 1. Change all items to 1. Okay. And then go to the next row. There is no next row. So job done, and my matrix looks somewhat like this. Is this making sense, guys? How many of you are clear with this idea? This can be one way, right? This can be one way. So let us try to code this up, and then I'll go to the second way. Okay. Okay. So first of all, again, the boring job, scanner sc is equal to new scanner. Okay. In m cross n, no? M. Yeah, important to definitely hai, but same thing sounds boring. Okay. Now you'll just take inputs, right? Let's just take inputs. I'm not repeating this part, right? कर लेते हैं यार, थोड़ा सा practice भी रहेगा. Okay. So take an input of the array. Now what do I do? अच्छा guys, चलो करते हैं अब. Let us start iterating through the array, right? Let us start iterating through the array. I'll just leave some line gaps. Okay. So let's start. For int I is equal to 0, I less than n, I plus plus. I will iterate. M होगा, ठीक है? And then I'll iterate through the columns also. ठीक है? Now try to understand. This is the very important part. Now I am standing on I comma j, right? So first of all, I check if mat of ij, if mat of ij is equal to 1. If mat of ij is equal to 1, इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? The current row has a 1. That means all elements should be changed to 1. So what I will do? I will iterate through this row once again from the starting and convert every element to 1. सो मैं क्या करूंगा, फॉर इंट क्या करूं, j इक्वल टू 0, नॉट j, आई हैव टू यूज अनदर वेरिएबल, फॉर इंट k इज इक्वल टू 0, k लेस देन n, k प्लस प्लस। ओके, ध्यान से देखो भाई क्या कर रहा हूं, एंड व्हाट आई एम डूइंग, मैट ऑफ ith रो है and the kth column, just simply change it to 1. Okay, and after you have changed all the entries of this row to 1, can I simply write a break here? If I write a break here, which for loop it will break you out, I, j या k, कौन सा for loop के बाहर आओगे? Can anybody help me? Which for loop you will come outside via this break? K1 or the J1 or the I1? J1, right? भैया देखो क्या कियो, I found कि mat of ij is 1, so I ran this entire loop and changed all the values of this row to 1. And after this loop is done, I am breaking. That means this will make me come outside the J loop. हो गया ना काम? Okay, so I will come outside the J loop and then I will go to I plus plus. Okay, so I will go to the next row, and that is what we wanted ना कि भैया जैसे ही एक 1 मिला, change all the entries to 1 and simply break and go to the next row. So I go to the next row. So this will do my job, right? And if you don't find any entry to be 1, you won't be having this, right? So that row will remain as it is. Why k? Because I have already used I and j, so I just used k, right? Did you guys understand why is this loop being used? Why are we using this loop? Do you understand? देखो भैया, try to understand what is happening. I'll tell you. Let's say 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. This is my row. Okay. So you are I equal to 0 and I have started j equal to 0. So I j is 0, no problem. Move j forward. Again I j is 0, move j forward. Ab dekho, mat of I j is 1. That means I have found a 1 in row number I. I equal to 0 hai and j is equal to kya hai? 0, 1, 2. So this is a 1. Okay. Now what happens? The moment I see this number is a 1, I know that I have to change all the entries of this row to 1. So what do? I run a for loop. I run for k equal to 0. So k will start from here, k equal to 0. And k will go all the way till the last column. And what I will do? Mat of I k equal to 1. So mat of 0, 0 को मैं 1 कर दिया. फिर k comes here. Mat of 0, 1 को 1 कर दिया. Then k comes here. Mat of 0, 2 को 1 कर दिया. Then k comes here. Mat of 0, 3 को 1 कर दिया. Then k comes here. I did it to 1. So I have changed all the entries of this row to 1. Okay. Now I come outside the loop and what do? I use a break. Why do I use a break? Because now there is no point in moving j forward in this loop. है ना? अभी कोई point नहीं है. तो अब जब break होगा ना, I will come outside the j loop. Okay. I come outside the j loop and then we go back to I plus plus. So the value of I will become 1. So you come to row number 2. Okay. And then again j will start from 0 and check. No, it will not break when the first element is 0. How will it break? If the first element is 0, it will not even enter inside the if block, right? और ये break कहाँ पे आ रहा है? देखो ये break आ रहा है इस if block के अंदर में. Okay. How many of you have understood what is happening? After assigning 1, how do we print that same? So do you agree that we have made the changes in the matrix as was desired? Do you agree? देखो भाई, mat of I j जैसे ही 1 आया ना, तो I am running a variable k from 0 till the end. तो मैं वापस से वो रो के स्टार्टिंग से जाके I am changing. Okay. Why did not I write a break in line number 29? Okay, good question. So if you would have written a break here, what would have been the problem? आपने एक नंबर को 1 किया and you break, but I want to change all the entries in that row to 1 and then I have to break. I'll do a dry run. Don't worry. First, let us understand whether this solution is working. And now I have to just print the matrix back to you. So let's just run another loop and print the matrix. And then we'll see whether it's working fine or not. First, let's verify. Is everyone clear with printing the matrix? Is everyone clear with printing the matrix? Yes. चलो एक बार पहले तो रन करके देखते हैं, ठीक है? तो देखो ये दो पार्ट सबको समझ में आया क्या? फर्स्ट टेल मी, टेकिंग इनपुट्स and printing the final matrix. Is this part clear to everyone? Just give me 1 sec. I'm getting a call. Okay. So let us try to give an input-output example and see if it works fine. Then we'll understand the code in. हाँ बताता हूँ I के जगह I J क्यों नहीं ले सकते सब बताता हूँ. First, let us try to run the code once. पहले मेरे को भी confidence आ जाए. Working fine. Yes, looks good. Let's try to submit. हाँ मैं बता रहा हूँ. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so all the test cases have passed and this question is good enough. Okay, now let us try to understand. ठीक है, अब समझते हैं भैया क्या कर रहे हैं हम लोग. Let's go to the PPT, right? Let's go to the PPT. I think I have better control there. Just give me 1 second. Just make some slides. डरना मत यार, इतना slides नहीं लगेगा. Just made it in the flow. But yeah. Let's try to understand, right? What is the code that we have written? For, ध्यान से देखो, यही लिखे हम लोग. For int I equal to 0, I less than m, I plus plus. Okay. Then for int j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. Is everyone clear till here? Now what is happening? What is happening? Let us try to understand, right? Now you are iterating. Let us try to understand this, right? You are iterating. पहले I का value 0 है, j is also 0. Okay. So mat of 0 0 is 0. So I don't have a problem. I just move further. So देखो, if mat of, yes, recording will be there. It's being recorded. Mat of ij equal to 0. Let us write a box. एक कुछ box कर देते हैं, ठीक है? बस, ठीक है? तो अभी सबसे पहले ऐसे अंडरस्टैंड करते हैं. If mat of ij equal to 1, sorry, then you have something to do. Otherwise, you don't have something to do. So do you all agree? This is 0. You just go further. Okay. This is 0. You again go further. यहाँ तक समझ में आया है क्या? If mat of ij is 0, you simply increment the value of j. Is it clear to everyone? पहले ये सोच के बताओ. If mat of ij is 0, what are you doing? You are just incrementing your j and moving further in the same row. ठीक है. अब the concern comes when mat of ij equal to 1. Okay. The concern comes when mat of ij equal to 1. तो मैं क्या करता हूँ देखो. Mat of ij equal to 1 है. That means this element is 1. My j is here and my I is here. ठीक है. Now, the moment I see that this number is 1, I know that all the entries in this row should be 1. I know. Okay. So I have to start filling numbers from here. Till the end. ठीक है. तो मैं क्या बोल रहा हूँ? And see guys, after I fill all the numbers, I just have to move to the next row. That is what I want to do. तो मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? If mat of ij equal to 1, I am not disturbing j, right? If you want, you can, but I am not disturbing j. I am running another loop. I am making a variable k and running it from 0 till the end of this. I am running it from column number 0 till the last column. So what happens? अब मैं इस if के block बता रहा हूँ क्या है, ठीक है? So it is for int k starts from 0. Okay. K goes till n, k plus plus. Now you will be able to understand, right? भैया देखो j तो इधर है ना, but I want to convert all the entries to 1. So k starts from index 0. And what do? Mat of ik equal to 1. I will change this number to 1. Then k plus plus. Now k comes here. I will do mat of ik equal to 1. So this number gets changed to 1. Then k comes here at j. Mat of ik equal to 1. Change this to 1. K plus plus. K comes here. Change it to 1. K plus plus. Change it to 1. So mat of ik को मैं 1 कर रहा हूँ. K comes here. Change it to 1. So now after this loop, I am just like in this loop I am doing mat of ik equal to 1. Is this understandable? देखो boss, mat of ij जैसे ही 1 पता चला ना, that means you want to change all the entries of this row to 1. So I am starting another variable k from 0 and I will go till n. And what I am doing, mat of ik equal to 1. That is, I am again starting from column number 0 and I am changing the numbers to 1. No. See, try to understand. What I am trying to say is, you have a situation like this, right? I is at 0, I equal to 0. J was here, J is at index number 2. and I know that this number is a 1. तो अब मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? When I know this number is a 1, I know that I have to change all the entries to 1. तो मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? I am running another loop. Okay, I am making another pointer k starting from index 0 and going till the end. And what I am doing? Mat of I k को मैं 0 set कर रहा हूँ. So k is initially 0. So I will set mat of 0 0 equal to 1. Then k का value will become 1. I set mat of 0 1 to be 1. Then k का value will become 2. I set mat of 0 2 to be 1. Then k's value will become 3. I can set mat of 0 3 to be 1. Then k's value will become 4. I set mat of 0 4 to be 1. So once the k has iterated over the entire row, every entry of the row will be 1. Mat of ik, every entry of the row will be 1. Okay. So now once I have set up all the values of the row to 1, okay, what I want to do? अब मेरा काम है simply come to the next row, है ना? Does it make any more point to move j forward? No, na. See, I am using k to basically change the values of the matrix, right? Now, once the row value have been changed, what I want to do, I just want to move to the next row. तो मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? Outside this for loop and inside this, if I am writing a break, मैं यहाँ पे break लिख रहा हूँ. So what will this break do? This break will make me come outside the j loop. So I will come outside the j loop. Okay, I come outside the j loop. Where will I go from here? I will go from I plus plus. J इधर ही रह जाएगा. Okay, you hit a break, you come outside of the j loop, then you go to a I plus plus, then I becomes 1. And again, j will start from 0. So now you are in the second row and again you start inspecting elements one by one. How many of you have got what we are doing? I'll tell you a better way to do it, which is more simpler to understand. But how many of you are clear with what is happening? Yes? Okay. Now one other way of helping you guys, right? So, एक और तरीका बताता हूँ. See, break is confusing. See, once you have populated or changed the values of your row, right, using mat of ik equal to 1, if you don't use break, the output won't be different. But the problem will be, आपने एक बार रो में सारे 1 fill कर लिए ना, if you don't break, then again a j plus plus will happen and it will see this number is 1. So again you will run a k from 0 till the end and change everything to 1. Then again j plus plus happen, again you will find the 1. Again k will start all the way from the starting till the end. So it will take some more time which you don't want, right? So that is why आपने एक बार रो के सारे entries को 1 कर दिए, just break. Okay, just break and move to the new row. Okay, that's it. Now I will tell you another very, very basic technique. हाँ, मैं वो बताऊंगा. That is what I'll tell second, right? That is a better way, right? I was starting from the extreme brute force till a new method, right? So now what I'll tell you, look at another method, right? It's a better way to do this, right? Okay. So how many rows are there? There are 3 rows, right? So I make an array of size 3. Listen to me very carefully. I make an array of size 3. Okay, there are 3 rows, so I make an array of size 3. And think of it like, let's call it as my, whatever, check array, whatever, right? Check. This is my array check. And I will basically store a true. Okay. So I am telling you, check of I will be true if the ith row has to go to all ones. Okay. And check of I will be false if the ith row does not need to go to all ones. मेरा बात ध्यान से सुनो. अब मैं क्या करूँगा? Try to understand. I start iterating from the matrix. This is a 0, no problem. See, initially all of them are false. Initially think of it, all entries are false. कि मेरे को नहीं पता मेरे को कोई भी रो में चेंज करना है या नहीं. Now I start iterating in this row. This is a 0, no problem, move forward. 0, no problem, move forward. 0, no problem, move forward. I come to a 1. The moment I find a 1, मैं पता है क्या करूँगा? I know that I am at row number 0 and I find the 1. So I will go to this table and I will change the entry at 0 to 1. I will say, boss, row number 0 में मेरे को एक 1 दिख गया है. So I will set this entry as true. Okay. And then I might choose to skip iterating over this row, right? Now let's come to next row. 0, no problem. 0, no problem. 0, no problem. 0, no problem. 1. The moment I get a 1 in the row with index 1, I will go to the index 1 of my table and I will set this value to be true. कि भैया, in the row with index 1, you have to set everything to 1. Okay? Next, what I will do? I come to row with index 2. 0, no problem. 0, no problem. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, no problem. It will remain false. It is. Okay. अब मैं क्या करूँगा, guys? Try to understand. Now this table is helping you to determine what will be the final state of the rows. Okay. check of 0 is true. That means the row with index 0 should contain all ones. The row with index 1 should also contain all ones. And the row with index 2 should not have any changes, right? Now what I will do? I will again iterate through this. अगर 0 की जगह 2 होगा, मतलब I didn't get the question. Okay. Now again you start iterating through the array. Okay. Now you are standing here. What is this row that you are standing on? This is row number 0. And you check in the table that corresponding to row number 0, you have a true. So I will set it to 1. Move forward. You are still on row number 0, which is having a true. Set it to 1. Move forward. You are on row 0, having true. Set it to 1. Row 0, 1. Row 0, set it to 1. Row 0, set it to 1. Row 0, set it to 1. Next, you will come to row number 1. Now, again, when you iterate through this row, you will see that row number 1 has a true. So you will change the items to 1. Okay. Now you come to row number 2. Now for row number 2, you will see that the entry is false. So you don't have to do any changes, right? You just iterate normally and don't do anything. How many of you are understanding? This is a table way कि एक table में मैं अपना information change कर रहा हूँ. In case हमें row और column दोनों change करना है, then question, you can have another table for column also. ठीक है? सोचो, interesting. That is also an interesting question, right? That is a lead code question, to be very honest. Okay, you can have another table for column. Okay, and वैसे set कर सकते हो. Let us try to do this. Yeah, do code. I'll code. तो इसको कैसे reset करते हैं? Does it get reset? Sure. Anyways. One sec, guys. Just we'll discuss this last one code and then we are done for the day. It's almost time. So just give me 1 minute. Okay, ठीक है, मैं copy कर लूँ, मैं बाद में लिख दूँगा वापस से. Let's come back. Right. कहाँ गया? Okay. So this is the part of the logic that we have to change, right? Everyone agrees? This blue highlighted section is the thing that we have to change, right? Input output तो same ही रहने वाला है, right? Let us start, right? So I've taken input of the array from the user. Okay. Now what I'm doing is, अब तो मैं backspace दबा चुका हूँ, but हुआ नहीं कुछ. That is also good. Okay. Now what I'm doing, I will make a table. Okay. Let us make a one-dimensional array. Let us call it as row and new int. How many rows it will have? M. Size M होगा, right? For every row, you will have one cell, right? So you have made an array by the name of row of size M. Okay. So what will row of I tell me? मैंने int बनाया, तुम boolean भी बना सकते हो, right? That is not a problem. Okay. Now currently, row of I will tell me whether I have to change all the contents to 1 or not. Okay. So if row of I is equal to 1, that means I will change all the entries to 1. Okay. If row of I is 0, that means you don't need to do any changes. Okay. So let us try to iterate over the array first. अच्छा guys, एक interesting बात बताता हूँ. Now let's try to optimize our code more, right? So when you are taking the input only ना, क्या मैं ऐसे कर सकता हूँ यहीं पे कि if mat of ij equal to 1, मैंने input लिया, ठीक है? While taking input only, can I check if mat of ij equal to 1, what should I do? थोड़ा और optimize कर देते हैं इसको, ठीक है? So basically, you have made a 1D array int, let's call it as row. Okay, or let's make it as boolean only. What should I do, guys? If mat of ij equal to 1, can you tell me what should I do? What cell I should go and change the value in row array? बताओ भैया. I am at the ith row and the jth column and I get a 1 as input. So can I say the row with index I that will need to be changed to all ones? So I will go and set row of I equal to true. Do you agree? See, this you can do while taking inputs also. This you can do later also, whatever you are comfortable with, right? But what I am doing is, while I am taking input, मैं check कर लिया. Boss, mat of ij input लिया, and I check if mat of ij equal to 1, that means row number I is containing a 1. So I will change row of I equal to true, which will later tell me कि boss, if you are at row with index number I, it has to go to all ones. ठीक है, और अगर कोई भी रो में एक भी वन नहीं आया तो रो ऑफ आई विल रिमेन फॉल्स ओनली, विच इज द डिफॉल्ट वैल्यू with which this boolean row is created. Is this making sense, guys? Yeah, just 2 more minutes I'll take, right? Just couple of more minutes, right? अब मैं क्या करूंगा देखो guys, once I have recorded everything, I will just iterate over the array for int I equal to 0, I less than m, I plus plus, okay, for int j equal to 0, j less than n, j plus plus. Okay, I'm iterating over the array and I just check if I am standing on the ith row and jth column. So if row of I will check my row table. So if row of I equal to true, can you tell me what to do? No, this method is not confusing. This is better method, I would say. Okay. Can you tell me what should I do? If row of I is equal to true, that means, boss, the current row that you are standing on, every entry should be 1, right? So I will just make mat of ij equal to 1. Okay? Mat of ij 1 kar dunga main. So what will happen? When you iterate over this row, every time you will see that row of I is equal to true and you will set every entry as 1. So अब जो row में value true होगी, row of I true होगी ना, that row will contain all ones. Otherwise, the rows for which row of I will be false, you won't be changing anything in that row. Okay? And then you will have just this print statement like that. Let me just submit it and see. This is a better method, right? Now why this has failed? क्या हो गया इसको? एक second. No, is it? Oh, 14 semicolon we missed. Right, correct. Sorry guys. So submit it once again. 31 पे भी छूटा क्या? नहीं छूटा, हो गया ना? All test cases passed. Okay. So please try to do a dry run of this method once on your own. I will paste the code also. Okay. But yeah, this is a better method, right? तो basically हम लोग कुछ नहीं कर रहे. अगर एक conclusion देना चाहूँ तो एक मैंने ना टेबल मेंटेन कर लिया. I have maintained a one dimensional array. Okay. और मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? I have maintained it of the same size as there are the number of rows. So if there are 4 rows, I am maintaining an array of size 4. और उसमें मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? मान लो the row with index I that should have all ones ना, so I am setting that value equal to true in the row array that I am maintaining. Okay. Break कर सकते हो, but here we are taking the inputs, right? तो मैं break नहीं कर पाऊंगा. You understood correctly, Olili, right? But if you are taking inputs and doing it at the same time, then you can't break. If you take inputs and then you actually iterate, then you can break, right? Let me do a full screen. ट्राई करना, ठीक है? मैंने क्या किया है, मैंने इनपुट के टाइम पे ही ये चीज को सेट कर दिया है, ठीक है? सो द बेसिक आइडिया इज प्रीटी सिंपल. आई जस्ट टेक योर 5 more minutes, right? So the basic idea is pretty simple. Let's say you are taking input of this matrix, right? Let's say there are 2 rows, only 2 rows, right? So I will make a array, both will have false, ठीक है? Row 0 भी false है, row 1 भी false है. Now I start taking inputs. I will take input for this, store it in the array. This is not a 1, no problem. Take it, store it in the matrix, not a 1, no problem. Store it, not a 1, no problem. Store it. Then I check, is mat of ij 1? Yes, it is a 1. That means for the row with index 0, okay, you have a 1. So what I will do? I go to my array, I go to my table at index number 0. और मैं बोलता हूँ भैया, row with index 0 will have all entries as 1. So just change it to true. Just change it to true. ठीक है? फिर मैं जाऊंगा अगले में, ठीक है? 0 take input, no problem. Take input 0, no problem. Take input 0, no problem. Take input 0, no problem. So this will remain false itself. And then what I will do? I will iterate through this array once again. So I am at row number 0, right? तो सबसे पहले मैं चेक करूंगा. Boss, row of I is true. मतलब इसका entry 1 होना चाहिए. Change it to 1. आगे बढ़ो. I am at row with index 0. It is true, right? So just change it to 1. Change it to 1, change it to 1. And when you come with row with index 1, you see that this is false. So you won't change anything here. It will remain as it is. Is this making sense? Yes, Boolean is by false, default by false. False by default. Okay. Cool, guys. Yeah, the space complexity has increased, but the time complexity has decreased. Okay. I'll share the code, don't worry. Okay. So I'll stop the recording, otherwise it will become too long. Stop recording. Okay.